23rd, is it 23 or 24? It's the 24th. I'm sorry. June 24th, 2022. Today is... He did that on purpose. It's the 23rd. It's the 23rd. We're here. We're here. And this morning, I am honored to have Father Elvis Gonzalez join us, and he is going to be giving the prayer. Father, can you come forward?
Come up here.
Oh, see? You see how we're so inclusive?
That's right.
And he is from the St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church. Thank you, Father. My kids went to Catholic school. Their whole entire educational career. St. James and then Monsignor Pace.
Oh, yes, I help a lot there. Loving Father, this morning we come before you to give you thanks for the gift of life, but especially for this new opportunity that you give us this day. We come before you asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support. Fill with your grace these elected officials and those who serve at this council as they discuss, decide, and accomplish any decisions. May your grace, Lord, be with them. And anything that is decided at this meeting, it will be for your greater glory, for the common good of this community, and for the service of humanity. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Commissioner Manolo, would you please give us the Pledge of Allegiance? Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. Please.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Commissioner Russell here. If all of you could keep Commissioner Semolian's family in your prayers this evening. He passed away last night over on Miami Beach. And he's a great commissioner, a really nice guy, really cared about the community a lot, and he's a coworker of ours. So we're thinking about his family. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are going to officially call the meeting to order, and we will have a statement from our Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Any person who is a lobbyist pursuant to Chapter 2, Article 6 of the City Code must register with the City Clerk and comply with the related city requirements for lobbyists before appearing before the City Commission. A person may not lobby a city official, board member, or staff member until registering. A copy of the code section about lobbyists is available in the City Clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. Any person making a presentation, formal request, or petition to the City Commission concerning real property must make the appropriate disclosures required by the City Code in writing. A copy of this code section is available at the City Clerk's office or online at www.municode.com. The City of Miami requires that anyone requesting action by the City Commission must disclose before the hearing any consideration provided or committed to anyone for agreement to support or withhold objection to the requested action pursuant to City Code Section 2-8. Any documents offered to the City Commission that have not been provided 7 days before the meeting as part of the agenda materials will be entered into the record at the City Commission's discretion. In accordance with Section 2-33 F and G of the City Code, the agenda and the material for each item on the agenda is available during business hours at the City Clerk's office and online 24 hours a day at www.miamigov.com. Any person may be heard by the City Commission through the chair for not more than 2 minutes on any proposition before the City Commission unless otherwise modified by the chair. Public comment will begin at approximately 9 a.m. and remain open until public comment is closed by the chair. Members of the public wishing to address the body may do so by submitting written comments via the online comment form. Please visit www.miamigov.com/meeting instructions for detailed instructions on how to provide public comment using the online public comment form. The comments submitted through the comment form have been and will be distributed to the elected officials and city administration throughout the day. so that the elected officials may consider the comments prior to taking any such action. Public comment may also be provided live at City Hall located at 3500 Pan American Drive, Miami, Florida, subject to any and all city rules and regulations as may be amended. If the proposition is being continued or rescheduled, the opportunity to be heard may be at such later date before the City Commission takes action on such proposition. When addressing the City Commission, the member of the public must first state their name, their address, and what item will be spoken about. Any person with a disability requiring assistance, auxiliary aids, and services for this meeting may notify the city clerk. The city has provided different public comment methods to indicate, among other things, the public's support, opposition, or neutrality on items and topics to be discussed at the City Commission meeting in compliance with Section 286.0114 4C Florida statutes. The public has been given the opportunity to provide public comment during the meeting and within reasonable proximity and time before the meeting. Please note, commissioners have been briefed generally by city staff and the city attorney on items on the agenda today. Anyone wishing a verbatim record of an item considered at this meeting may request it at the Office of Communications or view it online at www.miamigov.com. PZ items shall proceed according to Section 7.1.4 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance as temporarily modified by emergency ordinance numbers 13903 and 13914. Parties for PZ items, including any applicant, appellant, appellee, city staff, or any person recognized by the decision-making body as a qualified intervener, as well as the applicant's representatives and any experts testifying on behalf of the applicant, appellant, or appellee, may either be physically present at City Hall to be sworn in by oath or affirmation by the city clerk, or may appear virtually and make arrangements to be sworn in by oath or affirmation in person at their location by an individual qualified to perform such duty. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, members of the general public who are not parties to an action pending before the City Commission are not required to be sworn by oath or affirmation. The members of the City Commission shall disclose any communications pursuant to Florida Statute 286.0115 and Section 7.1.45 of the Miami 21 zoning ordinance. The order of presentation shall be as set forth in Miami 21. Staff will briefly present each item to be heard. The applicant will present its application or request to the City Commission. If the applicant agrees with the staff recommendation, the City Commission may proceed to its deliberation and decision. The applicant may also waive the right to an evidentiary hearing on the record. For appeals, the appellant will present its appeal to the City Commission, followed by the appellee. Staff will make any recommendation they may have. Please silence all cell phones and noise-making devices at this time. With regard to access to the meeting, this meeting may be viewed live at Miami TV, miamigov.com, the city's Facebook page, the city's Twitter page, the city's YouTube channel, and Comcast Channel 77. The broadcast will also be closed captioned. Thank you.
Mr. City Clerk, do you have a statement?
Thank you, Chair. The procedures for individuals who will be providing testimony to be sworn in for planning and zoning items and any quasi-judicial items on today's City Commission agenda will be as follows. The members of city staff or any other individuals required to be sworn in who are currently present at City Hall will be sworn in by me, the City Clerk, immediately after I finish explaining these procedures. Those individuals who are appearing remotely may be sworn in now or at any time prior to the individual providing testimony for planning and zoning items and or quasi-judicial items. Pursuant to Emergency Ordinance Number 13903, those individuals appearing remotely may be sworn in at their location by an individual qualified to administer the oath. After you are sworn in, please be sure to complete, sign, and notarize the affidavit provided to you by the City Attorney's Office. Each individual who will provide testimony must be sworn in and execute an affidavit. Please email a scanned version of the signed affidavit to the City Clerk at thannon@miamigov.com prior to providing testimony on the planning and zoning item and or quasi-judicial item. The affidavit shall be included in the record for the relevant item for which you will be providing testimony. Commissioners, are you comfortable with all the notice provisions set forth in these uniform rules and procedures we have established for this meeting?
Yes.
Yes,
Chair may administer the oath.
please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If we be speaking on any of today's planning and zoning items, may I please have you stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give at today's meeting is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And your response is? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. City Clerk. At this time, I would like to welcome the newest member to our administration, Mr. Larry Spring. Welcome aboard. Looking forward to working with you. Thank you. Mr. Manager, do you have any items on the agenda that you would like to continue, defer, or withdraw?
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners, Madam City Attorney, Mr. City Clerk. At this time, the administration would like to defer and/or withdraw just one single item, which is RE3, which would be deferred to the July 28th meeting.
July 28th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Russell, do you have any items?
Yes, Madam Chair. RE4, the Little Bahamas designation, I'd like to defer to July 14th.
The 14th?
Yes, please.
Is that it?
Yes.
Commissioner Russell? Reyes? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. You don't have any items? Okay, then. Are there any pocket items?
I heard there were.
Chair, it's my understanding that there are a few pocket items. I'll do my best to identify them. The mayor has a pocket item, essentially a resolution of the Miami City Commission authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a covenant in lieu of unity of title to unify the city-owned properties located at 444 and 460 Southwest 2nd Avenue.
I would like to co-sponsor that item.
Understood.
That would be pocket item 1?
Yes.
Okay.
I have another pocket item that has to do with a resolution of the Miami City Commission authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an access agreement regarding the MML Touring, Magic Mike Touring LLC.
I'm a sponsor of that item.
Yes, ma'am. And we'll identify that as PI2?
Mm-hmm.
Understood. And the remaining pocket item that I have has to do with the naming of Eddie Calderon Street. I think it's just more of an administrative cleanup item.
That's P3?
Yes, ma'am.
PI3? Okay. I would also like to be shown as a sponsor for PH1. As well as RE5 and RE6.
And Commissioner Reyes, it's my understanding you would like to be a co-sponsor for PH2? Understood.
Are there any mayoral vetoes today?
Ma'am, would you like to have a motion, a second, and a vote on the items to be deferred?
I did, but I just wanted to ask you. If
Oh, yes, ma'am. There are no mayoral vetoes.
Okay, so may I have a motion to set the order of the day?
I'll move it. I'd like to also be recognized as a sponsor on FR1, the Jimbo's Lagoon item, please.
FR1?
Yes, that's the no wake zone.
Okay.
But I'll move the order of the day.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We are on the consent agenda item now. Does anyone want to pull any of the consent agenda items?
I would like to move the consent agenda.
Second?
Madam
Art?
Chair, public comment?
Public comment?
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Before we vote, we can get to the public comment. You can take your second.
I'm the second. Okay. Can we open the public comment period now for anyone that would like to speak on behalf of any of the items that appear on this agenda today? Please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Good to see you again.
Thank you. I hate to air dirty laundry again. My name is Louis Morzabetti Garza, homeless but not hapless at Peacock Park. On these particular items, I do have a question. What is the difference between a pocket item and a consent item?
Mr. City Clerk?
Well, a consent agenda item, basically, that type of item is already appearing on the agenda. So the difference between any item that's on the agenda and a pocket item is that a pocket item is not appearing on the agenda. It's essentially something that's being introduced on the floor during the meeting.
So something a bit opaque that you're, in my estimation, as the citizens of which you are our employers, we should have every single item on these. The pockets and the convenient consent items, I had a huge issue in Doral to the point that they banned me 365 days from Doral, from City Hall, because I'm pointing out that things are being done surreptitiously through consent items and pocket items. But I do not want to go further on that item. Mr. Russell, I understand that you will be a lame commissioner this year and you will not be here for the next session for Congress.
I'm
And I
only
guess
lame when they don't
now-
need me anymore.
Okay. We're still waiting for you at Peacock Park as you volunteered to come.
Yes.
And we'll wait a little bit longer. We have been at Peacock Park, and I suppose I could be the ultimate nightmare for everybody at every city hall. I am elderly, autist, lesbian, ecru-colored, ecru-hued, and I have a bit of a, how would we say, a Tasmanian devil tongue. So I am hoping that I can meet with the other commissioners at some point, because we have had problems at Peacock Park, especially in the last 2 or 3 weeks, regarding people coming in and making it miserable for the homeless people who are there. And we think there are infiltrators, and personally, I have spoken to the officers. There are pedophiles in Peacock Park, and they're trying to hide surreptitiously. And we are trying to expose them. And all of a sudden, the police have come.
Thank you.
Give me just
No, hold
10
on,
minutes.
hold
All of
on.
a sudden,
I'll meet with you, and I've made that
They-
promise.
they
My
have
staff
come.
is talking with you, and I will be there. I will be there.
Thank you. I believe the chief is here. If maybe the chief can speak to her. I think the police chief is here. Is there anyone else here for public comment? Good morning.
On PZ5, it's nice to see everybody could show up and do their job. I'm the president of the Tenants Association for 1809 Brickell Avenue, a 270-unit affordable housing for seniors, most of whom are disabled. I'm here to talk about affordable housing, or rather the lack of affordable housing. Thanks to the city's failure in policy and leadership over the past decades, that has only gotten worse. We are now the least affordable housing market in the nation. This is an outrageous failure of leadership. This ordinance is a billion-dollar giveaway to developers that will do little to improve this situation. Half the city struggles to pay for safe, decent, and affordable housing as a result of these years of failed policy and leadership, and has made us ground zero for the housing crisis. This proposed ordinance, is a shameless giveaway by the city of billions and billions of dollars to developers that will have nominal benefit for most citizens in need of housing, while further turning Miami into a tale of two cities, dividing the rich from working families, seniors, disabled, and the poor. As an example, in my building, 1809 Brickell Avenue, right now you are in the process of literally giving $1 billion to a billionaire developer for tearing 400 seniors, most of whom are disabled, and sending them off to a premature death in one of the most dangerous and toxic areas of the city, where there is literally a 7-year less life expectancy, according to the Census Bureau. You, each of you, bears responsibility for this travesty. While you give away billions, half the city struggles to survive. This ordinance will memorialize that giveaway all over the city and should be rejected. I like to try to give solutions to things. I can show you a way that, working with the county, you can create 1,000 affordable units for seniors
Thank
and
you.
disabled
Thank
at
you.
virtually no cost.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is Jonathan Quintanilla, part of the Alapata Fellows with our project called Fabulosa La Pata. And we would just like to remind everyone about the event. We will be hosting at Juan Pablo Duarte Park at 11 a.m. and so on. Just a reminder, we will be having a cleanup event there and we will go on with our project and spread the word. Please just come out and support us, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here for public comment? Seeing none, the public comment period is now closed. I have a motion and a second for the CA items. Can we take a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Yes?
I would like to move the RE items, if,
With the
with
exception
with the
of
exception of 3 and
RE
4.
Well, no, with the exception of RE2, because that requires a 4/5
Oh,
vote.
for the exception of that,
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to move RE 1, 6, and 7. I'll second that. All in favor?
aye,
On,
Public
with
vote.
regard, Madam Chair, I apologize. With regard to RE7, there was a substitution on the Dr. Medina Street, and then there's the accompanying pocket item,
yes.
which is
P3.
P3, which we are clarifying the designations of Dr. Medina and Eddie Calderon streets.
So we
if-
want to remove RE7 for now? Or,
Can we,
It's fine. I just wanted to clarify
can we do it together, since they are hand in hand?
yes, so we can do RE 1, 5, 6, 7, and pocket item 3. Commissioner Russell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question for administration on RE1. Does that do anything to actually change the solid waste fee at this point?
No, the solid waste fee remains the same. This is required for us to be able to submit it to the county for the trim notice. So the
Say it
rate,
again, I can't hear you.
this is a requirement we have every year, that we have to approve it. This does not change
Okay.
the
This is
solid
not
waste
related to the
fee at all.
discussion. Okay. Thank you. I'm fine, Madam Chair.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
This is 1, 5, 6, and 7?
It's
With
one-
RE7 being amended.
Yes, as amended, 1, 5, 6, and 7, yes, and pocket item 3. Would you like to take up the pocket items now, the remaining pocket
Yes.
items, 1 and 2?
Absolute- Yes,
Can I have a motion?
move it.
Second.
All in,
Go ahead.
Yeah, we
the
didn't,
PHs.
PHs, we didn't do that.
They're 4/5.
So we're
right, I can't do
until they-
those as
Okay,
yet.
okay.
Right,
Thank you.
so Commissioner Russell?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On PI2, I would just like to direct the administration to make sure we're working for the possibility of potential shared use of the space
Yeah.
so that it's not an exclusive.
That's absolutely the intent.
Okay, so, but does the agreement mention exclusivity at this
No.
point?
It cannot be exclusive. I
Yeah.
hope everybody understands. It cannot be
they
exclusive. That would have
understand.
to be a
It's not
4/5.
exclusive
It
at all.
would,
Right, but beyond legally, I want logistically for us to work together because I know there are some other folks who are interested in using the
Yes.
space. I think there's enough space to share
Yeah.
if it works out with everybody.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't interfere with what they're doing, both the shows, parking, space, et cetera. But if we can accommodate more than one, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Pocket items pass, 1 and 2, which takes us to second readings. Madam City Attorney, could you read the second reading ordinances into the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. SR 1, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 2, Article 6, Division 2, Section 2-887 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, is amended titled Administration Boards, Committees, Commissions, Standards for creation of review of boards, quorum requirements, exceptions, more particularly by including the Miami Arts and Entertainment Council on the list in Section 2-887 87B of city boards, subject to quorum requirements provided for elsewhere in the city code, further amending Chapter 2, Article 11, Division 10, Section 2-1141 of the city code titled Administration and Boards, Committees, Commission, City of Miami Arts and Entertainment Council, Purpose, Powers, and Duties, more particularly by adding Section 2-1141, subsection 4, the authority to expend funds in furtherance thereof, and deleting Section 2-1141, subsection 7, the 501c3 corporation provision, and providing authority for the solicitation and acceptance of financial and non-financial support. Further amending Section 2-1143 of the City Code entitled Meetings, Quorums, and Voting, Attendance Requirements, Parliamentary Authority, Rules of Procedure, Minutes, Assignment of Staff, Legal Counsel, and Notices, and Filing of Records, more particularly by amending the MAEC's quorum and voting requirements detailed in Section 2-1143B, further creating a new Section 2-1144 of the City Code for the MAEC titled Budget and Finance, establishing a special revenue account line titled City of Miami Arts and Entertainment Council, authorizing the city manager and the necessary city departments to create the necessary budgeting and accounting structures to account for the MAEC's funds in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, further deleting obsolete references containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Do I have a motion for second readings?
Did you want me to read SR2 as well?
That wasn't SR2 as well?
No, it was a long title.
Oh, gosh, yes. Read-
SR2, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission naming the parcel of land located at approximately 261,000, consisting of approximately 261,360 square feet, located at 2304 Northwest 14th Street, Miami, Florida, as Ronald W. Reagan Park, amending Chapter 38, Article 1 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Parks and Recreation in general, by creating Section 38-31, titled Naming of Ronald Reagan Park, further directing the city manager to take any and all actions necessary to effectuate the naming of the park, containing a severability clause, and providing for an immediate effective date. That's it.
Thank you. Colleagues, does anyone want to have any discussion on the SR items? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a motion yet.
Yes. Commissioner Reyes, I seconded, and it passed unanimously. Okay, we are now on first reading items. Madam City Attorney, would you please read the first reading item into the record?
An ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending Chapter 50, Article 2, Division 1 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Operation of Vessels Generally, by amending Section 50-1 to add a definition for Lamar Lake and creating Section 50-44 titled Lamar Lake Jimbo's Lagoon Idle Speed No Wake Zone, to establish a vessel idle speed no wake zone in the waters of Lamar Lake, also known as Jimbo's Lagoon, authorizing the city manager to undertake and execute the necessary applications with agencies of Miami-Dade County, the state of Florida, and the United States to establish the proposed zone, containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. That's it for the FRs, Madam Chair.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. We have the budget report. Are we just going to accept that? I accept it. Commissioner Russell, do you want a presentation on that? Okay. We've accepted the budget report. Do we want to take up the planning and zoning items now? Commissioner Russell? Okay. Madam City Attorney, would you please read the planning and zoning items into the record?
PZ 1 and 2. PZ 1, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending ordinance number 10544, as amended the future land use map of the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedures subject to section 163 through 187 Florida statutes by changing the future land use designation from low-density restricted commercial to medium-density restricted commercial of approximately 1.75 acres described herein of real properties located at 600 Northwest 42nd Avenue, 4251, 4253, and 4255 Northwest 6th Street, and 601 Northwest 43rd Avenue, Miami, Florida, as more particularly described in Exhibit A, making findings and providing for an effective date. PZ2, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending the zoning atlas of ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, is amended by changing the zoning classification from T4L, General Urban Transit Zone Limited, to T5L, Urban Center Transit Zone Limited, of the properties generally located at 600 Northwest 42nd Avenue, 4251, 4253, and 4255 Northwest 6th Street, and 601 Northwest 43rd Avenue, Miami, Florida, all as more particularly described in Exhibit A, further accepting the voluntarily proffered covenant attached and incorporated as Exhibit B, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ3 is a resolution, so I'm not reading that one into the record. PZ4, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended specifically by amending Article 3 titled General to Zone, Section 3.5.2, as it relates to ground floor height allowances, in order to correct inconsistencies and permit additional flexibility in the design of buildings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ5, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, is amended by amending Article 3 titled General to Zones to establish an affordable housing transfer of development density program containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. Those are all of the PZ ordinances.
Yes?
May, I have a couple of questions on the PC.
Okay.
On PC 1 and 2, from what I mean, although it's not in my district, it's right on the boundaries, but it will affect my district. And as we spoke, because all the, the cut-through traffic and all the flagler and all of that's going to be through part of my district, to the west and to the south. And one thing that it really concerns me is that you are asking from increasing the density from 300 to 600 per acre. I mean, you're more than doubling the density.
Good morning. My name is Ines Madrero. I'm attorney with offices at 701 Brickell Avenue on behalf of the applicant this morning. And yes, the portions of the rezoning of the property will increase the density on the properties that are zoned T4.
Yes, but as I have a map here. Mm-hmm. All the constructions that have been done along 7th Street, none of them has that density. And I personally, I am afraid that if we grant this, it will open up the door, all the people to ask for such an increase in density, which means more apartments, means more people moving in, more traffic, et cetera, you see? And it really, I know that you want to maximize the use of the land. You see, it's business, and that is, it is what it is. But I am very concerned about this, and I would like to analyze this a little bit more, if you may.
Commissioner, of course, we would be more than happy to again sit down and meet with your office and discuss it, and we'd be happy to defer it.
Because
for that purpose.
I will-
We did proffer a covenant limiting the uses on the southern portions of the property that abut the existing residential
Yes.
family, but again, I'm more
I
than
would like to analyze
happy
it.
to sit down with you and your
also,
staff.
if you can bring some traffic analysis.
We'll
or
do
something
that as
like
well. We
I
have
will-
that.
I will love, because I have my constituents and Alex's constituents also, they are very concerned about that. They are very concerned, the ones that are immediately neighboring this place, and I know that you are concerned about this too, sir. I know you, and I know you are very concerned about this, so let's analyze it a little bit more.
But deferral will be nice.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner.
So the deferral would be at the pleasure of the commission in terms of the timing. We are ready, willing, and able to be back here in July, if that is, I think we have enough time to do that, but obviously, it's your pleasure.
The second meeting in July will be fine?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
So, commissioners, are we going to have a deferral for PZ 1 and 2?
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
May-
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. PZ 1 and 2 has been deferred until July
28th.
28th.
Okay. And on PC 5.
PZ 4,
Oh, PC 4. PC 5, are we, no. No.
because PZ 3 is a resolution, we'll take that up.
Okay.
Or do you want to do PZ 3 right now?
Let's just do it right now.
Let's do it right now. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Second?
Madam
All-
Chair, if I can, Lakeisha with the Planning Department.
Okay.
So we do have, for the record, the Review Release Committee reviewed this request to release the covenant on Friday, and we wanted to provide that as part of your consideration to approve this resolution.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 As amended.
As amended.
As
Motion carries. PZ 4, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Chair, is there, I'll defer to the planning director.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, there is a modification that was provided by PZAB at their hearing.
Okay.
And in the whereas clause, the sixth whereas clause, there's a modification that we want you to take into consideration. Planning is in support of that modification. It states for the record that the maximum height shall be 70 feet for T5R, and the maximum height for T6R is 112 feet.
Okay.
Thank you.
So PZ 4 as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. PZ 5, do I have a motion?
I have a question before
Go
I make
ahead.
a motion. My question is, this is only going to apply to the CRAs?
No.
It cannot go out of the CRA, the boundaries of the CRA?
Administration?
That is what because if it goes out of the boundaries of the CRA, that's a different question.
Administration?
Thank you so much, Commissioner Reyes, for that question. So the projects have to be located in a CRA.
In the CRA, right?
Exactly, in order to transfer the density to another receiving site.
And it has to be only for affordable housing
The
purposes.
Well, the transfer does not have to be affordable housing purposes. It is the density that is remaining after they have met their affordable housing requirements on site.
Question, if it is accepted, can we have an amendment that it will be only used for affordable housing? Because it is not fair that somebody that has a project that is affordable housing and does not use all the density that could sell that density to a developer that is going to use market rate. You see, I don't see that as beneficial to what we want to do to increase our affordable housing stock.
So, if I may, Commissioner, so in order to allow for the opportunity for the developer selling that density out, because really what we're providing is another source of revenue, right, to help subsidize an affordable housing project, so they're selling off that additional density that they're not going to use. It would really limit the market of that if you're only selling it to another affordable housing project. It's sort of counterintuitive. You want to sell it to somebody who's going to increase density, right, on their project, because you're maximizing the return to that particular affordable housing project. That's the intent.
But I think, my opinion, person that we have a bunch of developers here that they want to do affordable housing. And they are faced with the limit of the density limit within the area that's area. They can increase the limits by buying additional density that was unused density. And I think that what we are doing, it is, we are opening up, I mean, a business. We open up a business that if I am going to do, let's say, I have a lot in Overtown Park West, which is my favorite CRA. In Overtown Park West, we have
I thought it was mine.
No. Remember, I am one of the founders of
I know.
Overtown Park West, and we are doing it. This developer, he is doing a building. Is building affordable housing, and doesn't have to use all its density because there is a market out there that will buy it from him. And then they can use the other, I mean, the person that he sells it to can build and use market rate. You see, you're benefiting somebody that is not so much interested in providing affordable housing. That is my opinion, sir. Because I'm all for it as long as it is within the C-rate and affordable housing.
So for purposes of better understanding, because I don't want you to take my word on it. I'm happy that there's another affordable housing developer in the room. They can sort of chime in on this. But typically what happens, and the reason why there's available density, is because the numbers don't pencil out, right? That you can build it any bigger or maximize the use of the density because you can't get additional subsidy. There's a lot of reasons, all of which are economic, for why you can't build more units, right? So this provides, again, we're providing an incentive for them to acquire additional resources to make the numbers work for the affordable housing project. As for another developer and another option, you know, in terms of selling it to somebody who's going to use it for affordability, they have the option to pay into the trust fund, right, as their option to increase their density, which is actually has more value to the city, right? So I don't want to compete with that either, right? So there's this particular structure is sort of finding a good balance, right, to generating a source of revenue for an affordable housing developer, and in addition, not the resource, which is somebody contributing to acquire additional density into our public
Madam Chair, if I may,
trust fund.
but it is also providing, you see, the incentive to a person not to cap their density, don't use all the density, and then get a benefit, somebody that it is not building affordable housing by selling it, and that person using that additional density for market rate. I think that the intention is good. You see, the intention is good. I like the way that it was developed. But my only concern is that the additional density go for affordable housing, which is our goal. What is our goal? Our goal is to provide, particularly in that area, and I'm going to be very blunt, particularly in that area, provide affordable housing for people that live in Overtown. People that were born and then that they work and their life is in Overtown. Because what we've been seeing now, it is that Overtown is changing. You see, there's a lot of people, there are a lot of apartments that they are not affordable for people that lived in Overtown before. And the intent of the CRA at the time was to try to keep as much as we could all the characteristics and integrity of that neighborhood, and at the same time promote, foster economic development and businesses and all of that for people in Overtown. You see, that is my concern.
Madam Chair, may I be recognized?
I believe my colleagues would like to speak, Commissioner Russell, and then I'll recognize you after they have
Thank
had an
you.
opportunity to speak.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move the item on first reading. I'm supportive of the concept. I have some questions, just as Commissioner Reyes does, to see how this affects the market for transfer development density, the TDDs that exist. It's a pretty new program that we as a board, a body just created a couple years ago, and I think it's been successful for historic preservation. Can it do the same now for affordability? I think so. I love the idea. So I'd like to, between first and second, I'd like to get analysis from the administration on how this will, well, what revenues will this generate potentially? Is there a projection for unused density within, take an example of recent affordable housing projects that have been completed. What could they have sold? What could have been generated from that? What could have helped them on their bottom line? And then also the study from Commissioner Reyes' perspective of the receiving properties and what they're using it for. If we limited it to whether it was workforce or affordable, would that truly choke that market, or would it produce more workforce housing and affordable units for us? So I'd like to study it and understand better, but I am supportive of the concept and I'd like to move it.
I would prefer.
Commissioner?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would prefer to defer the item to the next commission meeting. I think that the concerns that Commissioner Reyes raised are serious concerns. It not only goes to the CRA, it also goes to the trust fund. It could go to the trust fund, right? Correct, Mr. Manager? So it could be for developments outside the CRA areas, correct? They're affordable, but it could be also market rate. That's a major concern for me, because the whole purpose of this project is a good idea, but I don't think it's fully developed yet. And I think there needs to be more understanding on this dais before we vote on it. Not to delay it too much, but maybe till the next commission meeting so we have an opportunity to meet and kind of address some of these concerns. I don't feel comfortable voting for something on first reading when I have serious concerns about it. So if you vote on it today, I'm going to vote against it. But I'm open to voting for it if it makes sense, if we can make some adjustments, including what Commissioner Reyes mentioned, which is it can only go to affordable and attainable. Not only affordable, also workforce housing, right? We want to make sure that those dollars are there. There's also concern that the developers can, in fact, purposely not use that available density to make money somewhere else and transfer it over to someone else who can make money on a market rate unit. And to me, that's a concern. There's too many loopholes in the way it's written. I was up till late last night reading and going through. You and I had a conversation about it yesterday, Ms. Tapanis. And I'm still concerned that the language is not tight enough to not allow what's going to happen, what Commissioner Reyes mentioned could happen. And so I think the best thing to do is defer it till the next commission meeting. I would recommend we do that. I think that's being deliberate and thoughtful. And just bring it back in the first July meeting and we can talk about it between now and then.
Commissioner Russell?
Madam Chair, I want to know your opinion on it, if we should move.
As the sponsor of this item, I'd like to move it on first reading. And between first and second reading, we can hash out all of the concerns that have been raised, because as administration said, this is a step in the right direction. So I'm going to allow Melissa to speak as well. Go ahead. But it would be my preference to pass it on first reading and then flesh out the issues that have been identified by my colleagues. But please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm here on behalf of Block 55 Owner LLC. They're the developers of Block 55 and Sawyer's Walk. We've been working with the administration and your office, Commissioner Chair King, and the CRA on this particular language. We're very proud of this language. We presented before the Planning and Zoning Appeals Board on Wednesday. We answered all the questions that were mentioned today, and we received a unanimous recommendation for approval. I think that the major stopgaps in this legislation to prevent the kind of abuse that we're all concerned about is specifically that the affordable housing projects have to be taking advantage of the city's attainable affordable housing program, and most importantly, provide more than 200 units of affordable housing. Most tax deals, the 4% and 9% tax credit deals through the state of Florida max out at about 100 units maximum, and the affordable housing developers here could attest to that fact. So these are for very large projects such as Block 55, where we're providing 578 affordable units, full affordable units at 60% AMI. So the goal here is to provide a private source of funding for affordable housing projects within CRAs, and the only way to obtain that private funding is to add to the TDD market, which today, as Commissioner Russell mentioned, is limited to historic preservation.
So the goal here is to expand that program, which just became successful, as Commissioner Russell said, when this commission really tightened up that TDD language to create and calibrate the correct balance between public benefits and TDD. And that project is in fact working. We are now carrying that over to the actual affordability, which is this commission's and our community's #1 priority. So what I would respectfully ask is for us to work together between first and second reading. This, again, we took some time to get to the PZAB and work on this language. We're happy to continue working on it, and we would respectfully ask either to table this item to after your CRA meeting today, where you're going to learn more about the memorandum of understanding between the Southeast Silvertown Park West CRA and my client, Block 55, and you'll see how that deal works, and we're happy to explain it. Mr. Swerdlow will be here as well, or continue to work on it. Thank you.
One second. Good morning, Vice Chair. How are you? Would you like to weigh in on this?
What? Good morning.
Please.
Thank you. Melissa, how are you?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning.
Which are the fine, outstanding developers that came up with this idea?
Well, I'm happy to say that it was the chairwoman of your Miami 21 task force, but I'm a lobbyist on behalf of Michael Swerdlow in Block 55.
Okay, I figure that. And the experience that I've had with all the outstanding, fine, wonderful developers that we have is that I never have met a developer in all my years that have come with an idea to the city commission that is not self-serving. I have a tremendous respect, as I've told you in personal meetings, with the chairwoman, and particularly respecting her individual district, just like I tried with each of my colleagues. I don't get involved in some of the stuff that should fall on district commissioners. And I respect when the same thing is done to me. But I want to make sure that I'm going to fully understand this, and that this is not going to be something that is going to hurt the city financially with what we have now. I don't know. Some of the information that, what I've been told is that with this, actually, we're going to get less money than the program we have now that they put money in the Affordable Housing Fund. But I am going to say this to you. I'm up to above my ears, my head, with all these county developers, that all of a sudden, because of the federal money, they found that the city of Miami was there again, and they're all coming back to see how many millions and more they could get. And it's $5 million for this, and another $2.5 million for that. I even had one that, if it wasn't so pitiful, I would have started laughing, that told me in my office, I think last week or early this week, I'd lose track of time in my age, that he doesn't make any money in any of this. He does it, out of the goodness of his heart. And that's when, maybe a few hours before he was leaving in a 30-day vacation, that, he made from the money that he makes from the development, from the goodness of his heart. And I'm not even going to tell you how much he wanted for me to give my blessing to. So, while I want to be accommodating, I want to make sure that we understand what we're voting on and what we're doing. And if it's clear, look, and it's something that it's not going to hurt what we have now in place, that, will be an even deal for what we have in place now, it's fine. But, this whole affordable housing that for the most part is called workforce housing now, it's like the homeless situation. It's become a business. And the ones that are in the losing end of the business are the residents and city government. So I just want to just slow this down just a tiny bit, and I apologize. I know you tried to call me this week to meet, but it's been a very difficult week, a lot of stuff that I've had on the plate. So, you know, that's what I could say now. I got a lot of questions that I need to ask from the administration and so on, that frankly, it doesn't behoove anybody to start doing in an open meeting like this.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Hold on one second. I believe you were next.
Yes, you believe correctly.
In your comments. So,
believe
Commissioner,
correctly.
Vice Chair, I had asked that we pass the item on first reading and then allow
second
our
it.
colleagues to work through it, because a couple have expressed, and now you have expressed some concerns. So it would be my preference to have it passed on first reading and then go through the exercise of massaging and addressing all of the concerns. But I want to hear from, and it's whatever the will of the body is. Now,
There's,
Commissioner Diaz de la Portilla would like to have a say. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Commissioner Carollo, before you arrived here, I had expressed the same concerns, and Commissioner Reyes had expressed some concerns. I also have a lot of respect for the district commissioner, obviously, our chairwoman, and it's her district. Block 55 is a big deal for housing development and affordable housing in your district. It's been going on for years. But the problem is that there's a lot of unintended consequences. Because we try to do something that may be good in a particular area, there could be unintended consequences by passing a brand-new program, which I don't feel comfortable voting on today, because I think it has serious ramifications, not only because of the concerns that Commissioner Reyes expressed, but I also have my own concerns that I think could be abused by developers. And I agree with Commissioner Carollo. Developers are in this business to make money. And for them to say that they're not here, that they're here to because of the goodness of their heart or to do good for the community, that's not the case. They could be doing good for the community, but they also want to make money, otherwise they would not do it. So I respect your wishes to pass on the first reading. You did say, Ms. Tapanes, I'm very proud of this language. So if you're so proud of this language, why are you going to change it between first reading and second reading? Why would
To
you
make
change
it better.
Well,
To make it better,
but
you
you're
might have.
But you're very proud of what's here,
Absolutely.
and you wrote it. Of course you should be proud of it. But the issue is, that I'm concerned, and so is Commissioner Carollo, and so is Commissioner Reyes. We have concerns about some of the details and the unintended consequences. So, Madam Chair, with all due respect, but one meeting is not going to change the world. Can we just defer it and give all of us a sense of comfort that we're going to get there by the first meeting in July, at least have the conversations? On top of that, it passed last week on PZAB. You called me yesterday. We had this conversation yesterday for the first time on this issue. This is major ramifications for the city of Miami in the most critical issue that the city of Miami is facing right now, affordable housing. The most critical issue, correct, Commissioner Russell? It's the most serious issue that we have right now. And getting a call the day before with such complex legislation is not the way you should be doing it, I think. So an admonition to you that in the future, the moment something's going, talk to all the commissioners and make sure that they understand what the impacts are going to be and present both sides of the issue. We know what the holes are here. We see what the possibilities are for abuse. And no matter what happens, Madam Chair, no disrespect to you.
I would never think that.
I'm going to vote against it today. I don't
fine.
feel comfortable voting for this today. I may feel comfortable voting for it in the next meeting.
I believe that we have a consensus with my colleagues that we can pass it on first reading with, before second reading coming back. I believe that is the feeling. If I am not reading the room correctly, please correct me. Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, I want to make a couple of comments. It is true. It is true, and I had stated many times, none of those developers, it is the system that we live in. We live in thanks God that we live in a capitalist system, and it's based on business and demand, supply, et cetera, and everybody wants to make a living. I know that most of the, I don't want to say all, because there are always exceptions, that most of the developers that come before us, they come as if they want to help the city or they want to help the poor, and then they want to charge more than what the people can pay. And that's why we brought down, the amount that they can charge. But this concept I like. I mean, I see some merit on it. I'm willing to pass it and on first reading, and then want all the answers to be, all the questions be answered, particularly mine, and that will, and everybody else's. And that way, when it comes a second reading, if I'm not satisfied, I will vote against it, and then that's the way it is. But I think that we should give it a try. So there was a motion made by Commissioner Roswell. I'm going to second it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. All in favor?
Can I make a statement, Chair?
Please.
Thank you. Commissioner Diaz-Portillas, in his statements on his reasoning for not wanting to vote on this in the first reading, sound. I am only going to vote on it on first reading out of respect and the respect that I have for the chairwoman. And that's the only reason. There's no other reason here that I have to vote for this. But having said that, when this comes back before us, and I don't want this Melissa to be a slam dunk. I don't care how much the developer in particular is paying your firm. I want to have enough time to be able to get all the answers that we need. So this has to come back at the last meeting in July, not the first meeting in July, so that we have sufficient time.
Yep.
If I'm not satisfied, or I see that, in my opinion, that it's not better than what we have now, then I will vote against it. So I want to be clear.
I believe administration needs to read something into the record.
Madam Chair, for the record, PZAB provided a modification to the underlying text under section 3.15.6, and the text is stating, in such cases, the city shall permit the owner or successor in interest to transfer difference between the number of constructed affordable attainable housing. We want to change it to say to be constructed affordable attainable housing, for the record.
Thank you. So I'll make the motion, the second.
You can second the motion. It was
Yeah, the
moved by
second.
Commissioner
It
Russell.
was already, right.
It's already
We
second.
already had a first. You have me as the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-1.
As amended, but I want to clarify, this is for the second meeting in July.
Second meeting in July.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll make appointments to meet with you all. Thank you very much for the courtesy.
Okay, now we can go back to our PH items, which required a 4/5 vote.
PH.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move PH1
And
and
PH2.
PH2.
I'll second that motion.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Do you need a second?
PH1.
PH1.
Beautification of,
And PH2.
And PH2.
that's right. PH2, I want to co-sponsor.
Instead of 158,000, there was a mistake that was made. It will be 150, so I'm making a floor amendment that instead of the 158.
Thank you, Commissioner.
It's 150.
So I'll
And I
move,
move it. Just move it.
so I'll move PH1 and PH2 as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries the PH items.
Also show me as a co-sponsor in PH2, Madam Chair.
Please, Todd, PH2. And we have RE2 remaining.
I'll move it for discussion purposes.
Okay.
If any discussion.
I'll second. Is there any discussion for RE2?
Well,
Seeing none.
Madam Attorney, can you walk me through it? Madam Chair, I'm sorry, through you.
Go ahead.
Basically, we have an issue wherein the county is not giving us about 20-some million in their CITT in the CITT monies. And that unfortunately will start impacting several of your projects, including the trolleys and all that. It is a sizable amount of money. I know that the manager can tell you exactly what projects and such that will be affected, but we really need your help as a body to try and talk to your contacts in the county to try and address this, and/or we would need to litigate. So that is why we need your approval by a 4/5.
Yes.
In order to allow us to litigate the matter and not just have meetings with the county, because there is a Florida statute that says that we would have to enter into mediation before a lawsuit unless you approve this resolution by a 4/5, showing that it is an emergency due to the amount and to the extent that we would be affected, and that's why.
So your intention is to sue the county?
I believe first there will be a meeting, and if that does not work out, or your communications with the county do not work out, then yes, we would need to sue them.
And do you come back to us before you sue them, or you just go ahead and sue them? This would authorize you to go ahead and sue them.
This authorizes
One
us to
more.
go ahead and sue.
Is there any money that we can withhold from them to counter it,
And I will turn that over to the manager.
Mr. Manager? Well, I know I have 10 million in my CRA that I'm holding back. For the Adrian Arts Centers, I'm holding back like 10.8 million, but they're gonna sue us, but that's a different conversation.
We can certainly look into it. So the overarching intent here, this provides us with the leverage, this particular item, that the suit is a possibility. We are going to try to continue to work on this to reach a resolution. This has been an ongoing sort of difference of opinion in terms of how we use the money. It goes back to an audit that's fairly old. And our intent actually is to try to resolve this above the administrative level.
But I think the commission should know, maybe you can express it. This really impacts a whole bunch of our services.
Oh, trolley service in particular.
Trolley service across the board. This is a
Yeah.
serious issue. We've
Correct.
been debating for a while, but it's just not something that we pass in a quick vote. I think the public needs to know that the county's holding back money from us that really impacts critical services, especially to our neediest citizens. And this is very important, so if you can outline quickly, and not to waste so much time, because I know that we're almost done here.
Do we know,
What services these $22 million impact, and, so people know, the public knows, how the county been doing this and why we need to sue.
Okay.
Suing is always the last recourse, right? But if we need to, we'll do it.
do we know,
There-
Chairwoman?
Go ahead.
Maybe you might know best. You have some good contacts over there. Who from the county commission is the person that's been put in charge of the transportation committee or transportation as a whole?
Eileen Higgins, I believe, is the transportation.
Oh,
I believe Eileen Higgins is the
I was
transportation.
afraid you might confirm the
Commissioner
rumors
Higgins.
that I've been hearing.
Well,
So
it is-
here we have another problem.
It is our intent, it is my intent to try to reach out to the county to discuss this issue with them. I absolutely do not want us to move forward in suing the county. I hope that we can resolve this issue amicably. However, I think that we should not tie the hands of our city attorneys, that if we need to take that step, that they have the authorization to do so. But it is my intent, and I would ask all of you to follow up with whoever you have a relationship in the county, up to and including the mayor, so that we can resolve this. But if we can't, and it has to go, and I'm hoping that would be the last resort, that our city attorney's hands aren't tied, and we've given them the
But
authorization.
for the record, can the city manager read some of the services that are being impacted by this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want that, I want
Absolutely.
the
So
record
our-
to reflect that.
Yes, so our constituency can be aware
Yes.
of why this is dire.
Yes, I do agree that they have to be more specific on how those funds are going to be used. And I agree with you 100%, Madam Chair. We cannot tie our city attorney's hand, but we should all do our best to try to solve this problem without going to court.
Absolutely. Mr. Spring?
Madam Chair, thank you. Larry Spring, Chief Financial Officer.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank
Larry
you,
who?
Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner.
Larry who?
Very quickly, just to, on a high level, answer your question. What's affected by this funding source, the main big thing is the trolley service that the city's been providing for a number of years. In addition, this source of funds was used as a pledged revenue for the street bonds, sidewalks. So right now I have literally in front of me about, 70 or 80 different capital improvement projects citywide that are
Can you give us a
impacted.
copy of that list? Can we have a copy of
Yes,
that
I
list?
will, and I'll get the dollar amounts. I don't have that specifically in front of me, but I'll make sure that gets distributed.
Yes, to every commissioner.
And the
Everyone.
trolley
But the
service
trolley
is a very
service-
important service that we offer to our constituents. It allows, at least in my district, for residents who can't afford to get around, go to very important
Absolutely.
services,
Absolutely.
hospitals and appointments and such at no charge. So this is something that we need to all hands on deck, take this up as our cause.
Absolutely, but Chairwoman, let me be very clear, specific in what I'm going to say. It seems like this particular county commission has declared war in the city of Miami. She has declared war in Maine, it seems sometimes. We got her, for instance, on 22nd Avenue, without speaking to the manager, the administration, the district commissioner here, just decided to do away with 2 lanes of traffic so that instead of 4 lanes, now you're left with 2 lanes at 22nd Avenue as you're heading towards US 1 or Cora Way. I call them the lanes to nowhere, so that she could put bicycle lanes on the side. Now, as China has moved away from bicycles, our esteemed county commissioner wants us to bring us back to the bicycle world. And the way we're going, she might be right with her type of thinking, where you can't even find tampons from women now, milk for babies, inflation up at yin-yang, but that's okay. It's all Putin's fault. Now, that's one. And I think I'm going to film that for one day and bring it to the next commission. I'm going to get someone to film it the whole day, and then we'll do it fast-paced. So you can see how during rush hour, you start getting bottlenecks. But most of all, it's like winning the lottery if you find one bicycle through the whole day that goes there. The Silver Bluff area, that because of problems that the state and the county created, we had to close off some streets, and it resolved the problem, 100%. Not only that, but you finally see little kids being able to go out in the streets and play like Miami used to be and the way it should be, without worrying about getting run over by a car. But this commissioner is the one that's pushed so that the county could sue us and force us to open it. But Coral Gables, that has 38 or so, that's okay. Even Coral Gate in Miami, Coconut Grove, the northeast of Miami. So it's becoming a constant problem, and I have to say it. I believe that it's her hand, again, behind this, because I cannot believe the way the county is run, that the person that's in charge of transportation, that the county is going to take this step without her blessing. Now, if it's a personal problem with some of us up here, I don't know what it is, but, I kind of reached my limitations. And as she could see with people that think like her, they weren't able to beat me in my election. So they have to go back and figure out, the whole big plan with the transplants that you bring, and they learn a little Spanish and play that game, because it's not working with guys like me.
Something else, Commissioner Carollo, if I may, Madam Chair. There's, about 3 years ago, the county cut 17 bus routes. 17 bus routes. Most of them were cut in inner city areas, including Little Havana, Alapata. This bus route number 6. Because a trolley service would try to fill in those holes. Now they don't want to fund the trolley service after they cut 17 bus routes. Why? Because they want to go down south and they want to go out west for political reasons. Instead of in the inner city areas, including Overtown, including Alapata, including Little Havana, Wynwood, they cut all those bus routes. And one of the most serious complaints I received during my campaign was about route number 6, route number 13 that were cut. I'm sure you got it in your campaign still. So now they get rid of the bus service they're supposed to provide to the public, so people can, even though people pay, but at least it's not, this is free. Now they want to not fund the one that's free for the people they impacted to begin with. And that's a problem. So if you have to sue. I agree with you, Madam Chair. We do everything we can not to, but I think we need to be aggressive. We cannot have these policies imposed on us. By the way, the county is also imposing zoning policies on us, zoning issues. They're trying to overlap our zoning authority and jurisdiction. So we have these issues that we have to stand up and say enough is enough, especially when it impacts neighborhoods, inner city neighborhoods that need the most help from us. We're the government that's closest to them, and we are the ones that represent the urban core of Miami and the parts of Miami that are Miami-Dade that are very poor that we need to fight for. So I agree with you, Commissioner Carrero, wholeheartedly. We do what we need to do.
Madam Chair, I do agree with what's going on with the buses, and I had a part of my district, and it was your district, on 32nd Avenue. It was just eliminated just without any reason, no random reason. But I want to make clear, I want to clarify that the commissioner, before she closed, before the project on 22nd Avenue, she informed me and she came to my offices, and I let him know that I was totally opposed to that project. I just wanted to clarify that, you see.
But since the commissioner is the one that is constantly saying with a couple of the people that she has in your district that are constantly trying to fight with people in my district.
Oh, yes.
What affects one area, that's a few blocks away, affects the other one.
That's right.
She never came to me,
It
Commissioner.
should have.
She never came to the administration also, and you proved my point why that happened. Now, think about this. Here we have a county commissioner that is in an area that not a single inch of that area that I know of is unincorporated Miami-Dade County. They're all cities. City of Miami, Miami Beach. I don't even know why we need a county commissioner in that area. But here's the great problem with that kind of situation. You have them meddling now in other jurisdictions where they're doing things that don't add up, that don't connect. Now, if you would tell me that that was done, so you could have connected with other trails and so on, but 2 blocks before you get to US 1, the bike lane stops. About the same, a block and a half, before you get a quarter away, that bike lane stops. And nobody uses it. So I don't know what the issue is. If it's to play with us in the city, to go out and claim that I put in so many miles of bike lanes, even though you're taking traffic lanes away and you're creating traffic jams at different hours of the day. And it's money that's wasted because they're not being used by bicycles. We are not China, Ms. Higgins. We're the United States of America.
Okay, so I believe we have our charge. I have a motion and a second. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. At this time, we have the discussion items before us. DI 1. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Anil Harris with RSM, the external auditors for the City of Miami. I'll be presenting the financial statement audit results for the year ended 9/30/21. There's 4 items in your package. I'll go over those at a summary level. The first item is the financial statements. We've issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements for the year ended. An unmodified opinion is generally a clean opinion, so nothing to highlight there. Focusing on the general fund for the year ending 9/30/21 ended the year with $158 million positive fund balance, meaning that your assets exceeded the liability, $157 million, meaning that your assets exceed your liabilities for the year ended, which obviously is positive. The second report we issue is a report on the grant programs of the city. The city expended approximately $112 million of federal and state grant program funds. Again, an unmodified opinion, no findings to report, which is consistent with the prior year. The third item is a state management letter, which is required by the state of Florida. Again, unmodified or clean opinion and no findings or no prior year findings to address either. And the final item is a report to the commission, and I'll just go over that in a summary level. And it summarizes the entire results of all the audits we've done. First item is there were no unusual transactions or significant issues discussed during the audit, no material audit adjustments as a result of the work performed. We had no disagreements with management in the course of the audit. We had access to all records and individuals within the city to complete the audit unimpeded. And finally, we were able to issue timely by the deadline of March 31st, which complies with the city's financial integrity ordinance. And with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
Seeing no questions, thank you for that report.
Thank you.
We have a second discussion item, status of drain cleanings in the city of Miami. Anybody coming forward? Staff?
We have a presentation we'd like to make.
Okay. Don't all hurry to the lectern.
Good morning.
Good morning. While he's getting his presentation ready, I'd like to acknowledge my summer interns who are with us. Guys, stand up, stand up. They are doing a phenomenal job and they're learning so much, right? I wanted them to have an opportunity to see what happens in government, see how our commission works, and so thank you for the program of having us have the opportunity to share and mentor our young people. Thanks, guys.
And Madam Chair, you're lucky they came on a good day.
Yeah.
On a peaceful day.
Yes.
Also, today is, I'd like to acknowledge while he's getting ready, that today is Sergeant at Arms Stanley's birthday. He turns 33 years old today.
Congratulations.
So
happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Stanley.
Thank you for keeping us safe. Mr. Director, are you ready?
Good morning, Madam Chair. We are not. I'm waiting for
The pressure.
the connection.
The pressure.
I know. I hope Wade brought me an extra towel today, so.
Can we bring up Miami Freedom Park and maybe you can see a real action, government in action for real or for the kids?
Is that a real request?
No, that's a joke.
Okay.
It's just killing time, that's all.
Okay. Here is the trusty IT guy. He is so fantastic. Thank you, Chris. Do we want to go to DI3? Let's go to discussion item 3 while he gets all the stuff that he needs, because I know Chris has to go upstairs or something.
Short or it could be long.
3 can,
Let me make sure that the manager is going to be listening to 3 and the appropriate parties on the homeless issue is going to be listening to 3.
it looks like they got the 2
You
going.
got the 2? Okay, well.
All right. Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Juana Santana, Director of Public Works. So I'm here to go over DI2 with you, and that's the item that Commissioner Carollo put on for status of maintenance of our stormwater system. So I'm going to go over basically what kind of initiated this, which was we had that huge storm a couple weeks ago, and then go over how we prepared, and then give you an update on our operations and our maintenance program. So we had a what I call a sheet, or a blanket of rain cover the city between June 3rd and June 4th. This is some of the data, but locally in Miami, we received approximately 11 inches through June 4th since Friday. That's a huge amount of water, and basically how this storm may have been different from others is that basically most of the city was getting rained on all at one time. So usually we have storms that pass through and affect different areas of the city, and this one basically blanketed us. So what did we do in kind of preparing for that storm? We've got areas in the city that we've identified previously as far as what we call hotspots, and we mobilize and preset some of our backup pumps. And in addition to that, after the storm, so as day broke into Saturday morning, our department, in conjunction with emergency management, were surveying the areas within the city, and we were also getting information reported back to us as far as flooding locations, and we deployed additional pumps. And that's what you see as far as post-storm. So what do we have currently in our inventory to help us get this done? We have a variety of pumps and those huge vacuum trucks that we call Vector trucks in our arsenal. And we did not have to deploy every pump. We also have additional backup pumps that the Department of Emergency Management through the Fire Rescue Department provide to us, and we did count on them during this most recent storm event. Post that storm, we've ordered additional pumps that we are expected to receive in the next few months. 2 of them hopefully within the month, and a couple more later on. And obviously we know that some of these materials and equipment take longer because of the global shortage on raw materials. So I've just briefly listed, and just as an example, some of the locations that we had to deploy. This one that's photographed here, this is just east of 22nd Avenue, south of 36th Street. Obviously, that was a location that we knew that we were going to have some flooding issues dating back. But the rain was such that even our backup pumps were overwhelmed. In Melrose in particular, we started getting water into our fuel tank there. And it wasn't necessarily that we didn't have enough pumps out there. It's just that we've got to move that water somewhere. So when we discharge this water, we're discharging it to other systems. And those other systems are dealing with the rainfalls that they're handling. And we just can't set up 5 pumps and just start pumping water, because we will flood other roads and the systems, whether they're ours, the counties, or the states, which we do sometimes discharge to other agency systems. they themselves are not designed to capture and handle all our water in addition to what they're dealing with. This is just one location just in all your districts so you could see that just some of the areas. This is obviously not the entire list, but this is just some of those hotspots. So we saw a lot of media attention on Biscayne Boulevard. That is a road that is currently maintained by the Department of Transportation and is overseeing part of huge 395 reconstruction. There have been some historical issues there dating in the past couple years with some illicit discharges. And the DOT has implemented restrictions on their system, but that inevitably has backed up their ability to discharge some of that water into the bay. Another area that got a lot of attention, and this one is in your district, Commissioner Arroyo, the Southwest 8th Avenue area in Little Havana. So that area is actually a Department of Transportation system, drainage system, but there are interconnections with the city system. So part of that area is served by our Lawrence pump station. What we found that occurred at the Lawrence pump station is that we encountered, because of that amount of water, that initial storm event at the beginning of the season basically just flushes clean our streets. If we've got anything out there, whether it be floatables in the form of plastic bottles or leaves and debris from trees, whether it's from residents that they're landscapers, and we've all seen them out there blowing their leaves and their debris onto our streets. They have nowhere to go but into our drainage systems when we get those large storms. So that system was overwhelmed with debris, and the Lawrence pump station temporarily shut down because of the amount of debris that was blocking its ability to pump water. As soon as we found that, all our pump stations, to be clear, were fully operational. We have 13 regional pump stations throughout the city. They were all fully operational, except one, which is on bypass, and that it is never on, and that is in Overtown. That station is on bypass because the Department of Transportation reduced its space, and we really don't have a need for that pump station. So we had 12 active pump stations that were all fully operational, but when we have some of these events, that's some of the things that we encounter. So what are we doing about that in particular is that we're asking the Department of Transportation, because of that interconnection, to better protect their system. So if you may drive around our city and see some protections like the one that I'm showing a photograph that basically keeps floatables from coming into the system. We've got thousands of those throughout our city. We actually got additional money in our last budget to install more. So we're going to be we've reached out already to the Department of Transportation to have them implement a similar system that'll protect all our stormwater infrastructure just that much better. Another item that we have going on right now is that our pump stations are not monitored remotely. We can't go into like a dashboard and see how our pump stations are working. We identified that as a need a couple years ago. We've assessed all of our pump stations, and we are going to be moving forward so that during an emergency, someone remotely can be monitoring all our pump stations and ensure that they're operational, and if the need is to kick in additional pumps and override the default settings that we have out there for the everyday. So this is just our map of where we have those large pump stations that are throughout the city. You can see that we have some that are out west that were built after the 1999 no-name storm. We have newer pump stations in the Brickell area, Mary Brickell Village, that was constructed, and there's ongoing improvements in that area to fully take advantage of that pump with new drainage pipes coming into it. And that project is hoped to be connected in the next few weeks.
Can you go back to the map, please?
Absolutely, sir.
What are the colors that you have?
So
What do they mean?
the colors represent the basins. So if the red square is the pump, and the color area that it sits within is basically the collection area. It is responsible for collecting all the runoff
In that area that's
to that
colored.
pump.
I see.
Yes, Commissioner.
But why do you have different colors, though?
I'm sorry?
Why do you have different colors? What does
Oh,
each color
because
represent?
because there's a legend on the top, and that tells us what that pump station's name
Okay,
is.
so you got 3 stations there.
Correct.
And you got 3 colors that each color will go to one station.
Correct.
Okay.
So if you see the 2 in Flagami, they're basically, it's one basin, there's just 2 pumps within
Right,
that basin.
right.
And we call those the West End 1 and West End 2 pump stations. I'll move on. So additional, we've talked about several times here with you all, and we've had presentations and we've had discussions with your staffs with respect to the Miami Forever bond and the priority projects that are coming online. I just noted that of the 24 neighborhood projects that were prioritized, there's another 13 pump stations. So that basically means that we're going to double the amount of pumps that we currently have in service. So we're going to go from 13 pump stations to hopefully 26. And that is just a tip of the iceberg.
By when?
Well, so all those projects so right now, those that are just listed right there, all of those have pumps, and all those projects, we've received notice of awards of grants. So those at least are 5 that we're going to be moving forward. The plan is that as monies become available, that we're able to leverage the Miami Forever bond dollars with grants, that we can move forward with more. So all 13 of them will depend on monies, because that priority list is $600 million worth of improvements. We don't have it, but right here, that's 5. So if we just build those 5, that would be a net increase of 50%. As far as your question, as far when, we are looking to have all these projects in the ground in construction within the next 2 years.
Madam Chair. Director Santana, is the bottleneck the funding or simply project management? You say 2 years. Is the funding in the pipeline to get this done?
So some of these projects have already had matching dollars assigned to them. Some of them have not, and that's part of why we've recently set up additional meetings with your staff to finalize that prioritization so we can appropriate post that February allocation that all the districts, so that we can then appropriate those monies. We currently have staff working on the grant applications. So we have consultants already on board that are assisting us with that.
So
Mr. Deputy City Manager, did you want to?
Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeri Ihekwaba, Deputy City Manager. To answer your question, Mr. Russell, 2 Fridays ago, the city's procurement department released a couple of solicitations for program management for stormwater management systems in the city. The goal of the solicitation is to have us engage new consultants to increase capacity for program management, and also utilize the existing contracts for A&E, architecture and engineering services, in order to fast-track some of these projects. So in a sense, they're not going to be done in-house, because we realize that it's too much work in-house for us to be able to deliver. One of the expectation is that it's going to be on a fast track. We realize that the funding that we're receiving from these external agencies have deadlines, so we better spend the money as quickly as we can. That's why we're engaging with consultants.
Madam Chair?
Just a moment, I'm almost done.
Oh.
I'm almost done. So,
I thought you had-
thank you, Mr. Ihekwaba. So 5 years ago, we passed the Miami Forever bond, $200 million. Then we get the Stormwater Master Plan. We've got a roadmap now. What else do you need from this body to make sure there is nothing slowing you down from saving this city from stormwater?
I believe we've already reached out to the respective offices to reconfirm that the 24 priority projects has not changed. We've received responses, at least from District 4, that is a go. And I believe a couple of other commission offices have already signaled that they don't have intent to make any changes to that list.
Is there a coming resolution, or do you need a resolution to empower those projects?
I don't think at this time we need any additional reso. The last reso that came to this commission, I believe it was in March, divvied up the money equally among the respective commission offices.
But you need them line itemed, though.
The line items we anticipate will come from the 24 projects.
So they're not line itemed yet?
We want you to confirm that that's what you want.
Okay, so when is that coming to commission, and how soon? Because this is the part I want to make sure we're not holding you back.
If we have that confirmation from you, in the next 1 week, we'll come back to commission for appropriation.
We could see something in July.
Hopefully, yes, as quickly as we can. By the way, the solicitation for consultants is on a fast track.
Commissioner Reyes?
Yes, I know that we had a lot of flooding, but I want to be, in the sake of justice, I want to thank Public Works for the work that you did overnight, because I spent the whole night going through my district like just as other commissioners, and we have the little resources that we had. They were out there trying to clear the water, but we need a lot of pumps, and we need to find the funds to have pumps, because just as you stated, some of the water we are just transferring from one place to the other. And I think that we have to find the resources so we have deep injection pumps. You see, that the water should be injected instead of being transferred from one place to the other or to the lake or whatever. And I know that, for example, in my district, we have a situation that the only way that it can be resolved is like that. And now in the new area that I inherited from Commissioner Russell, we have a huge problem there that I would like that for you guys to start developing a program or a project to try to alleviate the problem or eliminate the problem that they have on 27 Terrace, et cetera, because in that area, the water gets into the house. You see, the houses are flooded, and we cannot allow that in our city. Also, in Silver Bluff, we have another problem. I know that you are loaded with different areas that they need, drainage projects, but I would like for you guys to try to determine how much you need and see how can we get it. You see, how much, I know it is a multi-million-dollar project because this is not new. This had come, Miami has been like that all the time. I remember when I first got here, 1959, thanks God that the automobiles were higher and the intake was on top of the motor, because if not, the people couldn't go around. 36th Street was a river. But we have, Flagami was always on the water. Now that we have pumps, and those pumps are working, although we still have problems, but we need a citywide estimate of how much do we need. So we have to find it, because our residents, every time that some areas, every time that it rains, they start praying. You see, praying. We're just wishing that it doesn't happen. But thank you very much, Owen, for your assistance before and after. Another question that I have. You see, you talked about the vacuum trucks, which is very important, that our drainage, they get clogged because of, we have a bunch of people that when they, or companies also, when they cut the grass, they blow all that debris, all the grass and all the leaves and all that into the drainage. Like if that was the dumpster. They could dump there. I don't know, Madam City Attorney, do we have an ordinance prohibiting that?
Into the storm drain?
Yeah.
Yes.
We do, but we never enforce that because they do it right in front of your house. What they do, they move my dirt, all the debris, all the dirt, they move it from to the next, the house just across the street, and if there is a drainage, right into the drainage. We got to stop that because we don't have enough vacuum trucks to have a constant cleaning of our drainage. We have to schedule them certain time. And I wish we would get more. And we have a rotation that every single district will have, will be within that the rotation. We and I, one day we were talking about why don't we the city buy 5 vacuum trucks, and every single district, they will have a constant rotation in each district, and that way we alleviate the problem that we have. You see, all drainage will be clean. Mr. City Manager tried to enforce that ordinance. You see, get some inspector, I don't know who could enforce it. Maybe a police officer that is driving by and see somebody doing that. But we got to start enforcing our ordinance, and we have to start getting our people not to throw everything in a drainage system. Okay?
Did you get the photos from my neighborhood? Did you
I think I have one of your photos, but
Are those the ones you sent yesterday?
Yes.
Yeah, they were sent to Miami-Dade County
Okay.
because it had to do with sanitary sewer
Right.
that was overflowing into the storm, which is something unhealthy for us.
Right.
So they acknowledged last night that they're in receipt of it. It was sent to Water and Sewer.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure that you were aware.
and when we had previously notified them of that issue, so.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, Madam Chair.
So, segueing into maintenance, to your point. So this right now is the data you have in front of you is from our reporting period. The city of Miami is the only municipality in Miami-Dade County that has its own NPDS, its National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. So we have to report to them on an annual basis what we're doing to maintain our system. So they require inspections, but what is actually being taken place when we're doing an inspection is we're actually cleaning the system at that point. So last year, reporting period between November 2020 to November 2021, we cleaned approximately 37% of our exfiltration system in the city. So that if you kind of overlay that puts us somewhere what someone might look at like on a 3-year rotation basis. That does also take into account that we're servicing certain areas a little bit more often than others, that we know that are troubled, that the systems may be more susceptible to debris. So while the average may be about 37% per year, there may be some areas that take a little longer to service, but they must be cleaned on a regular basis. And then just some data as far as how we're doing right now on our annual budget for contracted services. We have $1.1 million in our current fiscal year budget. And as far as open service requests, so that's what's coming to us and how we're dealing with the needs of the public, we currently have 175 open 301 service requests. 150 of them were received between May 30th to today. And the concentration of them happening over that weekend. So we are, again, evaluating all those complaint locations, and then we'll be closing out those service requests. As far as what we're doing with technology, historically everything was very either 301 or very paper-based. We're working into where we have an asset management system, and the program that we're using is called Cartograph. We have collected all our stormwater information either through the stormwater master plan or through the asset data collection, and we are going through it right now to make sure that everything is accurate. Just so you have an idea of what that would look like on a map, you would see every node and every pipe that we have underground. So if anyone has a question about it, we could go to it, know what size of the structure, when it was put in, when it was last maintained, and what have you. This is just a little bit about what our inspectors will be able to do. They'll be able to record everything with photographs and actual detail. This is basically their work order form, and they'll have a list of details that they'll have to check off and ensure that they're capturing. And this is what our maintenance operations crews are currently working. So you can see that we do have an idea as far as where we've been, how much we've done within any period of time. And this also deals with mosquitoes controls because it's on our operations side. That's why you see that there. So I'm going to kick this over to our solid waste director just so that he can talk about some of the maintenance that he assists our department with, specifically with street sweeping with their daytime and nighttime operations.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners Wade Sanders, Director of Solid Waste. With solid waste, we have a night street sweeping program that we have in place that we identify locations 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Most of those streets that we are servicing are state roads and stuff. So we've been talking with staff, we've been talking with one another, talking about recouping some of those funds from the state or from the county to have it where that we can, go out and do contract those services out so that we can be on a more of a accurate time basis of doing the street sweeping. We also spoke about doing maintenance on flipping the time of days or the time of nights where that you can park on the street so that we'll be able to get the whole entire streets, because what happened at the night when we do the night sweeping is that the individual cars are parked on the side. So we're going in and out, not really doing a fine sweeping through the neighborhood or doing the main thoroughfares that we are going through. So those are some of the things that we are put in place. We also have a daytime street sweeping program that's in place, which I have 2 street sweepers that are out there at the moment. But one of those street sweepers now is assigned to the heat team, and then the other street sweeper comes in and then fills in to try to do a 5-day operation with one street sweeper. And we're looking to look at contracting or having assistance to contract with that and to help us with street sweeping as well. So those are the 2 programs that we have in place and what we're looking at doing as far as making sure that we get the streets swept. But the main thoroughfares that we are paying attention to are basically a lot of the state and county roads that we do street sweeping on. And then during the daytime, we go into the residential areas and then street sweep there. So with that being said, I turn it back over to Hoover now. Any questions before I? Good?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
This is partly for you, but even more so for your predecessor. There was speaking just before you did. What percentage of the... Can't hear you. You can't? No. Good. Okay. Now, you could hear me, right?
I'm listening.
That's important.
That's important.
So you guys could answer. My question is, we had some streets that there was a lot of garbage thrown in there. People that have their lunch paper plates, styrofoam plates, plastic utensils, soda bottles, water bottles, cans that were thrown in there. That I saw, in particular that area of 8th Avenue, that was plugged. You could see all this debris just floating all on top. My question to you is, even if the drains are fairly clean, but the streets have so much of that, does that contribute to that area having the drains plugged also with so much rain that came in? Because the rain that came in is very unusual. We get rain like that, at least we used to, once every 10, 15, 20 years. So my question specifically is the reason that in that area, maybe others, the drains were plugged was maybe a combination that they were so clean and all that debris on top, there was so much water that all started going into the drain. It got plugged, and then whatever else can go started floating all over the place.
Yes, sir. So that's why it's so important when Juvenal had spoke earlier about getting the grates or the gates over the covers, because when those large items start to flow in those areas, once they get down there, we have to pump that out in order for the water to flow. Having those grates on those covers, I'm going to call them covers now, having those covers on there, what it does for us is that the debris don't get in there. We're able to come in and get that debris out, and the water can flow freely.
Where do those covers actually go? How deep do they go into it?
You want it, or you want it?
Yeah, that's right.
He wants it.
So the inlet protection, those covers, those will, your question is where do they go?
Yeah, where are they at? Are they right on top? Do they go inside
let
the bottom?
let me bring it back to the picture that shows basically, and let's see, I think I went past it. All right, so I'm gonna mouse over. This is a recently installed inlet protection. This is one that was just put in. This is a newer model. Just a word of caution on some of these, and where we try to implement them and where sometimes we may not. While this is wonderful and taking those plastic bottles from getting into our system, those openings are now reduced. So if you have a lot of landscape debris and the smaller stuff, it is still imperative. Our issues are not just our maintenance of our system. This is a community issue.
Yeah.
That a lot of, whether it's plastic bottles, whether it be landscaping debris, this will also keep that landscaping debris to come up, but if we're not careful, it could cake over basically that and basically render it unusable, right? So that's where operations like street sweeping are very important, so that when we have these protection, anything that builds up in front of them gets swept up.
All right.
So in that area of Southwest 8th Avenue, along our drainage system, most of the locations have something like this or similar already installed. But we're going through everything, and I'm saying almost everything because, we're not 100%. We're gonna go through and make sure that anything that's connected to that particular pump station, which is basically what the methodology we've used. If we're connected to a pump station, we wanna definitely keep floatables away, because the end result is that we'll have a pump station shut down on us.
Yes.
So this area here does have these barriers.
It does, but it hasn't on our roadways. Southwest 8th Avenue, which is 441, is a state road, which is also connected to a station, does not.
Okay, that's what I thought, and that's
Right.
where
And
the debris that I was seeing was at, in 8th Avenue.
Right.
Right along there.
so we've already had discussions with the Department of Transportation to see what is the easiest way to fast track getting those installed. So,
Lots of luck with the state.
I know. But
You've all made a fairly good presentation, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, there's one area that I want to make sure that it's being done and we're being given up-to-date information. What I'm trying to do is start to create accountability in our city that somehow it's been lost. And accountability where we just don't pass ordinances, resolutions, and then the administration doesn't make sure that they're being implemented. And then we run into problems. So on this here, there are two areas that I want to make a resolution on. One, that on a weekly basis, by 5 p.m. on Mondays, every Monday, you go into what you finish on Saturday, which Sunday's actually the first day of the week. That's why I'm doing it this way, but it also works out for the Monday. And we're getting a weekly report on two areas. One, the streets and avenues on that week that street sweepers have gone through in each of our districts. And it should be broken down by district. Two, I want the same report on how many of the areas that we have in each of our district in the drainage, how many of the drainage areas have been pumped. I want to get an accounting, because at the end, when the public starts complaining and the media is calling, they're not calling you guys, they're calling each of us in our districts. So I want a weekly report by 5 p.m. each Monday, what streets have been swept by the sweepers, and then what drains have been pumped in that week. And Mr. Manager, if you could hear, I want the person responsible for these two areas, which I guess in this case might be them two, but after they hear what I want, they might want to assign it to someone else. I want it under oath with a penalty of perjury. And I will make a resolution towards that. If we have to come back with an ordinance, we will, but I would hope that a resolution would be sufficient. This way, if we find out that there hasn't been accountability, then we could maybe have a hearing of this commission and take action from our side, because the city cannot be run with the lack of accountability that I see that it's being run with. And this is not anything against you two gentlemen personally. I think you've given a fine presentation. This is to hold everyone accountable, and for each of us that at the end are the ones that the responsibility falls on each of us in our district, have the information that we need to keep on top of what is being done in each of our districts. And I understand well that you get so much rain, 10, 11 inches. Even if it's not that, but you have one of those rainy seasons that unfortunately we started to have, that you get rain for months. And even if you get a 5 or 6 inch, 7 inch, the ground is so soggy that it can't take any more rain. So it becomes like if you had a 12 incher when you have it, because the ground ain't being able to take any more water because it's had so much. So I understand all that. But each of us needs to have information so that we could show to the public if something like this happens again, and we can show to the media. And
Madam Chair, and I will ask both of you guys and the administration how much an additional manpower you need for those reports, and if weekly, and if you consider that it is too stressing, because I agree with Commissioner Carollo on the report. We need to know what's being done, and it could be bi-weekly. But I have also another request, and that request, and it is for garbage cans. Garbage cans. We have a lot of areas that are residents. They are the ones that everything that they have in their hands, whatever they don't want, they just throw it on the street. Well, we need to have an education process. We need to have signs that say, don't litter, $500, like it used to be before. You see, if you litter, you pay. And have cans accessible where they can deposit whatever they have, a bottle of water or whatever, they can deposit it in the garbage cans. I don't see why next to every single bus stop, we don't have a garbage can. And then we have a system of picking them up and having them, keeping them empty them up. You see, it is very important, because if we don't provide our residents with the ability of dispose of the trash in a garbage can, they're going to throw it on the floor, on the street. You see, and that's. I know you have that problem in your district, Commissioner. I have it in my district. You have it in your district. We have it in all the districts. So let's start an educational program, but at the same time provide them with the ability of dispose of the garbage in the proper place.
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner, and it's funny that we've been working on this upcoming budget year, that we was going to be adding additional trash receptacles out in each one of the districts. Matter of fact, I think I've been working with your chief of staff on counting certain areas that need additional trash receptacles, and we're going through each one of the districts, finding out what they need, so that when the new budget comes through, we have the right amount of trash receptacles to put out within each one of those districts. And also, I heard you loud and clear, we'll work on doing the educational part, as far as making sure that we educate people, put different information on there, working with the county to put stuff on the bus benches about if you litter, there'll be a citation. I'll have staff check to see about the ordinance and stuff, if we, so we can enforce these rules and stuff. So I hear you. Yes, we are addressing additional trash receptacles, and we will get with each one of your chief of staffs and move forward to find out the areas that you need trash receptacles to be put in. So. Good.
Does that conclude your report?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we request of both of these departments to give us a weekly report due by 5 p.m. each Monday as to what areas, divided by district, they send street sweepers to clean, and what drainages have been cleaned in each of our district on a weekly basis. And that report, whoever is assigned, and should be a senior person, if not the department director himself, should be under oath, that we know that under the penalty of perjury, what we're given are the facts.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need a public comment?
Is there anyone here for public comment on this particular item? Seeing none, the item passes.
Again, both directors, thank you. You've done a fine report. Very educating. I would like to ask you one more thing through the manager. The 2 pumps you're replacing, the smaller ones, if the replacing pumps are still usable, keep them around instead of donating them somewhere until we catch up in what we need, because
We're now
yeah,
So I
we
think
might
what-
need it more than who we're going to give it to.
No, so I think that the presentation, we're only adding pumps. There are 2 vectors that are coming in later this year. There are 2 that are slated to be replaced. They will be.
I understand, but what are we going to do with those? I mean, they're still workable, right? It's just that new.
They spend more time in getting repaired and serviced than they do out in the field.
Okay, well, again, until we catch up, just keep them around in case.
Understood.
Another one of these would come, not 15 years from now or 10, but, in this season.
Yeah, we're just getting started. I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you all
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone.
I see.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
Still, how are you?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Great. Still above the ground, walking and talking.
That's always a good thing.
Yes, it is. Joe Simmons Jr., for the record, President of ASPE Local 871, City of Miami Solid Waste Workers. For the benefit of the committee here, we need assistance in expediting the hiring process and also the GSA repair process. We're running into problems daily internally with staffing and also with hiring, because currently every single day we have staffing shortages. And what happens, we have to pull from one area in order to supplement another, which means the area that we pull from gets lacking. So we're asking through the manager's office some support in expediting the hiring process. I understand police and fire have priority because of grant deadlines and things like that. But we need your support behind the scenes through the manager's office to try to expedite that so we can have the resources we need so we can provide the service timely. You talked about litter container servicing. Very important, City of Miami.
Yes.
This is the gateway, and we have to have the best presentation. But we need your support behind the scenes through communication of the manager's office to make sure we have what we need.
We don't need behind the scenes. If we're here in front of the scenes, perhaps a resolution directing the manager to prioritize this hiring process.
Yes, and also I want to ask a simple question. Do we have a problem with absenteeism? They're still using COVID as an excuse to be late because sometimes I have called, this area was not touched by the garbage was not picked. And I've heard we are missing a couple of drivers. We're missing, there's always some employees missing on it. Every time that an area is not covered as it should be.
Right, there is, under the union contract, Article 17, there is entitled absenteeism and tardiness, I believe, and there are tools there to address that. There's a call-in line for us to report daily if someone's going to be out due to reasons beyond your control. And there are exceptions made. There are normal processes. There's exceptions to be made. If an employee's not going to come to work, he or she has a choice. Call a direct supervisor or call a call-in line. We always suggest call a call-in line because that's a fail-safe just in case information gets lost in the airwaves. But we do have a staffing issue, and for quite some time, Why do we have it, Joe?
Yeah.
Well, mainly because of the city process. There was one time the city, Mr. Wade came aboard, they had advertised for temporary workers. And what happens, we had to send a letter of demand for impact bargaining because now that's going to affect our future ability as an organization of having certain rights associated with city employment. And so the city decided at that time that they're not going to proceed with hiring temporary workers because temporary workers don't give us stability and reliability now and in the future. And we need to have that. The city of Miami is a very demanding place, and we're happy to answer the call of the demands of the residents, but we need you guys' support in expediting certain things. For example, it takes roughly about 90 days to hire one person. Police and fire is longer, but we need to kind of expedite this. If there is a hiring patch for a police officer to be hired, our interview is going to get pushed back.
But you're not answering my question fully. Why are we having a shortage now?
Yes. Is that a problem with human resources? The procedure?
Are people calling in
No,
sick?
it's scheduled.
They're not showing up to work? What is it?
It is what happened. What happens is Miami is a demanding place. Our workforce is aging, and what happens is the people that come to get these jobs are not necessarily the young people. It's usually older people, 40 plus. Those are our statistics. And what happens is people have medical conditions, people get injured, people get sick. So someone calls out, which means that now we are short-staffed most days.
Are your wages competitive?
The wages, we're not complaining about wages.
I mean, are they competitive to hire new people?
Better.
I think they are decent, but that's a negotiation process that we discussed that through negotiations, which we finished a few months ago. It's win-win, it's give and take in the process, as you know, but no matter what you pay, it's never going to be enough. So,
but we're happy with what we did get. There's going to be somebody you're not going to be able to satisfy. That's just the nature of the beast. But that process has to be done through negotiation, and we just respect that.
Well, taking that into account, we won't go and make a resolution to lower your wages.
Commissioners, again, Wade Sanders, Director of Solid Waste. To answer your question about the issue of attendance and within the department, and is COVID a part of the problem. The COVID issue is behind us. Yes, we do have individuals that have got COVID, and we have them out for the period of time that they need, the 10 to 14 days they be out and they come back. But the issue of attendance from an administrative perspective, we are handling that. Something that I would say that probably wasn't done in the past, but we are handling the issue with individuals and their attendance, what I call abuse of using their attendance. We are handling those issues and going through HR in order to make sure that when we get ready to discipline someone or to address that issue of abuse, we're doing it the legal way in order to do it. But yes, we are addressing that from an administrative perspective within the department. So.
Okay.
All right. I think direction to the manager will be sufficient to prioritize hiring. I don't think we need a motion and a resolution, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the manager's heard us. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
D3.
D3, discussion item 3.
Here, well,
Did that kind of fold into?
I think we
No?
did it.
no. Well,
Right?
yes and no. This involves a lot more people.
Okay.
And unlike what we heard before, on this one, we passed ordinances that they're not being abided. Months back, we passed a series of resolutions and ordinance. One was that the hotspots, those meaning where you have sizable amount of people in sidewalks, et cetera, that they were to be clean for the safety and health and welfare of those people and our general residents. They were to be clean 3 times a week. That hasn't happened. I can tell you that in my district, several hotspots, while smaller than many that you have in your district, Commissioner King, and other areas, they're in significant, important areas where the traffic flow is huge. And I know for a fact that those hadn't been cleaned in months and months. Just recently, we cleaned one area. So I want to hold people accountable. And if this commission passed an ordinance and it hasn't been enforced, then what are we doing here? We're passing the ordinance so that people can have it go in one ear and out the other. So I want to do the same thing I previously did. I want to pass a resolution that we're instructing the administration that we want a once-a-week report, Monday by 5 p.m. That would be up to Saturday. Is the closing day for that week, where we are told what area and broken down by district there have been cleaning 3 times a week, like our ordinance states, and for someone to sign that under oath, under the penalty of perjury, so that we know for a fact that it's being done. If it's not being done, we could bring it up here in each of our districts and find out why it's not being done. Why have ordinance that we pass are not being adhered to.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Public comment?
Oh, is anyone here would like to have, speak on this item? Seeing none, public comment period is closed. I just want to say one thing. To request that staff, under the penalty of perjury, is fairly extreme. However, staff should not be untruthful. So I'm supporting the additional step of under the penalty of perjury because staff should not be untruthful. As the newest member of this body, I believe my vice chair has a reason to add that additional requirement. But in my years of being an employee with a municipality, Miami-Dade County, everything that I said was the truth. So I'm going to follow his lead and agree with that because that's absolutely what should be happening, and we should not have to ask for that additional certainty. So just be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I've heard you loud and clear, Chairwoman, and it's something that we thought long before presenting this, because it is very strong. But when this body has passed ordinance months and months ago, and it's like we never passed them. And then when I'm asking, I'm not being told the truth. Oh yeah, we cleaned it. They didn't clean it. There has to be some accountability. And I'm going to keep saying this, repeating this. Our city lacks tremendous accountability in our employee workforce. We have some excellent employees, but we have some that have gotten used to a culture of wanting to do whatever they please, BS the elected officials and others, and they figure, hey, these guys will be out in 4 years or 8 years, and we're still going to be here playing the game. And something like this, it's serious, because I'll give you an example, and the chief knows this. Maurice Parade Park. I went there last week. My Sergeant of Arms is here. He's a witness to it. There's others that were with me that were witness to it from the downtown area. We counted 81 homeless. And we only got out of the vehicle twice. I know that there's some others that we missed, so there could have been 100 or more. Nothing is being done there either.
And there is an ordinance.
Well,
Passed.
yeah, but
Have
nothing is being done there either. Under 7th Street, between 3rd and 4th Avenue in my area, it's just last week, after I was told, oh, but it's clean, it's clean. This is the second time in a row in a short time that we were told that. So I had to send the pictures immediately, say, oh yeah, it's clean, here are the pictures. Then there was a cleaning done. But as you all know, that if you don't keep the cleaning up, that's why we said 3 times a week, the urine, the other areas that become a health hazard starts growing. And I don't understand why, for instance, in that street, that's the most visible one that gets done, but then we got equal streets next to it, and nobody wants to go there. I even have one city employee, and I won't describe what department they came from, just because one of my employees, unbeknownst to me, but they're doing their work, one of my employees from my district was inside his city vehicle, just waiting to see when it was going to be done. This employee went up to him. You're supervising me? You don't need to supervise me. And this is a young person that's not supervising anybody. They're not a supervisory type of individual. But when you get employees that get to that level, we have a problem. And I will tell you both, gentlemen, and the manager, I have done traveling in my life more than anybody here. And I've done traveling like few people ever have. And I've seen governments, how they operate in the most modern countries and the most backward countries. And the way we're going, it's not a pretty sight. We have to bring pride back into the city, not just in some of our employees, but in all of our employees. And if employees don't have pride in their city and their job, they don't have compassion for the job they're doing, you know what? They don't need to be working for us. And maybe the problems are, like I'm being told by many, is that past commissions, including this one, maybe have been too generous in protections. So maybe we need to start changing this, and I hope the union leaders are hearing. But the bottom line is that people think that they don't have to work anymore. They could do what they please. They have no accountability because I can't be fired. Then that has to be changed. And this is why I'm asking to implement things like this. I mean, my God. This body put an ordinance. It was a serious ordinance for a major reason. And then months and months have passed, and it hasn't been enforced. Where's the accountability? You know,
Commissioner, if I may, Madam Chair, I'm going to go beyond what you're saying. It's no accountability. You know why there is no accountability? Because there's no consequences.
well, absolutely.
There's no consequences.
Absolutely.
I can laugh at your face, and I can tell my supervisor, I'm not going to do this. And when the supervisor gets too hard, there is a complaint, it's brought before the board, and the supervisor is the one that is fired, because that happened in a few months back. You see, an employee that was working once in my office when I first got elected was laying tiles in the kitchen area. And that employee laid only 8 tiles in an 8-hour shift. You see? And when I walked in and I saw it and I counted and I called the union president that happened to be there, and I said, don't ask me for any more benefits or salary increases for people like this. But you know what happened? That employee is still here, and the supervisor is gone. There's no consequences. And who was to blame? Us. Us. You are absolutely right. We've been too generous.
Well, on that issue, I think that was your fault. And I'm sorry, don't get upset at me. But you didn't put him up to get a proclamation, bring him up here, pat him in the shoulder, pat him in the head. You know, everybody clapped for him and praised him. And if you would have done that, he would have laid double the tiles each day, 16 instead of 8. But it's your fault. And look, what Commissioner Reyes said is absolutely correct. And he used a second word that I didn't want to use it now, but I've used it outside of the dais. There's no accountability, there's no consequence for anything. And this got to stop in the city. People have to have compassion for their job. They need to have pride in what they're doing. And we've lost that. I see some of our employees, and they're just here to collect a paycheck. And that can't be anymore. You know, our residents expect more, they deserve more. Yes, we have some fine employees, and this is not for everyone. But we have some that are not so fine. And I'm sorry if I'm hurting anybody's feelings. If someone wants to call me, won't be the first time, one of those nasty names, that's fine. Just keep my mother out of it, please, that's all I ask. But You know, Chief, you've been here now for enough months. We need help, because my problem has been, I speak to all you guys that are involved in the homeless stuff, and everybody throws the blame to one group to the other. Nobody wants to grab, you know, the situation and do something about it. And our residents are screaming all over the place. And we're getting it. And we can't do anything except what we do up here, legislate. I guarantee you that if I had the powers you have, the manager has, in a very short time, I'd resolve the situation, no matter what you guys want to tell me. But, you know, I don't have that power. So I have to take the baby steps that we take up here. Yep. But after we pass some very strong legislation, and it's been just laughed on, and no one's doing anything about it. You do a cleaning, throw a little bit of water, whenever you please. You know, I mean, do you guys take a shower every day, or at least every other day? I'm assuming you
Don't
would.
answer that.
I will not.
There might be some.
You were gonna
There
start
might be
to-
some that'll do it once a week. Okay.
I know he's not
hinting
addressing, he's not
anything?
addressing me,
But
but
darn it.
I'm okay with it.
You know,
But this is homeless that you're talking about, right,
You're not going to sweep
Commissioner?
areas for months and months and months
So this is the
and clean
homeless
them?
cleanup you're talking about.
It's a combination of,
Madam City Attorney, we passed an ordinance. Can you make copies and send them to all of them?
Okay.
That we were supposed to have cleaning 3 times a week?
I will follow up.
Okay.
okay. So we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
I'm sorry, this is a motion and a second on the reporting on the cleaning.
Yes,
That's on the report.
Under
the
oath.
reporting,
And the
under
manager can choose who he wants to
weekly.
sign it under oath.
Okay. Commissioner, I'm very supportive of this because I want the accountability that you're looking for. But this also goes back to the other ordinance regarding homeless. And as homeless get pushed throughout our city, the path of least resistance takes them to our parks, right? And that's a separate ordinance that you all took up that I was against. So I'm supportive of the ordinance with regard to the cleaning and the schedules of the cleaning. But I really, really want us to work together on the end solutions that get people off the street and into shelter.
Absolutely.
Because we are lacking capacity in shelter, because the shelter has lacking of capacity for permanent supportive housing on the other end. And so I'm very supportive of you in this, but we've got to work on that permanent supportive housing.
And the other one, the only other way, and I don't know why we're so short on shelters, because we're spending millions being compassionate. But the only other solution, and we've been working at it, is that we got to build the tiny homes. I think the manager has agreed on a final location where we have places that we can bring people to that are compassionate locations. We could bring in treatments there and more. But the problem is, Ken, that, and you could, you know, do it yourself, what I did. You have a very large population of homeless that don't want to leave the streets no matter what, because that's where they could buy and use drugs. And that's basically the biggest problem that we have. And, you know, what I'm telling you, you can speak to many of our people, and they'll tell you the same thing. And I'm going to tell you this, it's going to get worse. You know, last year, unbeknownst to most of us, we had over 100,000 deaths in our country, either directly or indirectly to drugs coming through our border, particularly one drug that's dropping us people like flies, fentanyl. Now, rightly so, we're outraged when 13, 25, one child is killed in schools. But we had thousands of young people killed last year because our country is being invaded by a war that is coming from China, communist China. Yes, they're communists, and they're sending that fentanyl to destroy our country through Mexico, the cartels, and that's coming right through the border. That's coming right through the border. And part of the reason that they want hundreds of thousands of people coming through that border, so that makes it easier for them, so they could bring it in other areas that we're not concentrating on because it's not where the human aspect of it is coming through. And this fentanyl, I mean, just one dose could be enough to kill you. In fact, a bottle like this of water, fentanyl, is enough to kill 15,000 Americans. That's how bad it is. Yep. And this is why you go out in the street and you see some of the so-called homeless that we have, they're burnt. I mean, they're gone. Yesterday at Bayfront Park, thank God I was there, we arrested one that was in the film that, remember that clip that I did? He was there in that clip, even in worse condition in the clip than we saw him yesterday. And what was he doing? Well, you had a father with two teenage kids, a very pretty daughter, and his son. He saw the girl, he flipped out, he went at her. Her brother, a young kid, maybe 14, went to see, his sister to see if he needed to help her. And this guy, went at him like a pit bull until the father came in, and then he stepped back. He had stolen from the vendor that sells hot dogs there 2 soft drinks, demanded that somebody that was buying hot dogs there would buy him one. And when the police went to see him, he wanted right away to run to a bag that he had. Well, there was a nice, pretty knife inside. Well, he got off that scene yesterday, but I'm sure by today he's probably out in the street already.
In the same place.
Well, I don't know if he'll come to the same place or not, but if he comes to the same place, he's going to get tired before we do, as long as you have officers there.
Yep.
And this is a lower city. So the only thing that we're going to be able to do is put these tiny homes, so that's the last line of being compassionate. All these groups that we've given millions to, the $5 million the mayor recently asked to be given for health care, for drug care, et cetera. Let them come there, put trailers in, so we could try to help those that, want to be helped. But I don't think it's going to be a large group because of the drug factor. This is not your same homeless that we remember during the last Great Depression. It's a different type of homeless.
Yeah. Vice Chair, could you call the question?
Can I,
He's the chair.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah.
I see David, and I'm going to keep on going on this homeless issue. I was shown, and I think that all of us were shown a couple of renderings of different type of shelters that were going to be built. What's the status of it? Why is taking so long? I'm going to be like just, what's the status of it?
Can I answer that before they speak to you?
Yes.
Here's the problem. I think they've gotten one with a price that I'd like, but the way prices have gone up, I don't think that price is reasonable. Plus, they can't build them quickly. So we're going to have someone that's going to build a few, but they're probably going to change the price on us, or we're going to see if they can build them more. So
I would like to be informed.
I think in order for us to move quickly, we're going to have to pay maybe a price that I never thought we would have to do, but it's cheaper than other cities are
Okay.
paying.
Fine.
Maybe $8,000, $9,000, $10,000
Each.
per shelter, yes. But they could be built like this. If you need 50, you'll get 50 in, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Okay.
Whatever you need. But it's not going to do us any good if supposedly we're going to get a cheaper price, which the problem is the materials.
Yes.
And then the labor. But it's going to take you a year to get 30, 40, or 50 built.
I do understand, but we have to start. And I agree with you. This is not going to solve the problem because many people don't realize they look at the homeless problem as an economic problem. And that is not so. That we have different types of homeless. We have homeless that they want to be homeless. We have people that they have psychological problems and they are on the street just after the Supreme Court decision that you cannot have anybody instituted against their will unless they want to be instituted, and they be on the street. And we have the addicted ones, the ones that are addicted. And what I foresee, and to your point, Commissioner, is that when we build those shelters, we are going to be sheltering those, because those are the only ones that want to be sheltered, are the ones that have an economic problem. And then they are trying to go back into society and get trained. But the people that they are addicted, or most of the that have psychological problems, or the ones that want to be homeless, we're going to keep on having that problem.
Well, I think they're going to get tired before we do. But
I hope so.
Here's the other factor in what you're saying. Fentanyl brings a lot of these people into being schizophrenic, being bipolar, and scores of other mental diseases and issues. That's what it does too.
Yeah.
That's why you have, I call it, how I see it, people out there, they're burned out because of what that fentanyl did to them.
Absolutely.
And, they're schizophrenic, they're bipolar, they're half a dozen other problems and mental issues that they get. So that's what it does to these individuals. But at least it puts us in a place that then we could do something
Yes,
by
we
doing
can.
this. Now,
Right,
the other
we have-
issue that we have is that we've been so welcoming in Miami that I'm finding, at least the ones that I speak to, I don't know, maybe it's me, that the vast majority of the homeless people out there that I run into, they're not from Miami, they're from somewhere else. I got in the sculpture gardens next to the museums, a couple from New Jersey. I mean, tell me the area that you like the most, and we probably have them there from there. So we're getting problems that are coming from other areas of the country.
And other cities.
Look,
Right.
what we're talking about is being as compassionate as we can. And what's more compassion than bringing people to a tiny home that they're the only ones that are going to be there, unlike a shelter that some claim that is because they don't like it, because of this or that, where they're going to be sheltered from the elements at night in a safe environment than being thrown out
Again.
in the elements in an unsafe environment. But at the same time, a lot of the people out there that they're carrying knives to protect themselves against others that are homeless. And it's a problem for the rest of our community. It's a real problem. So
I think I hope that when we get those shelters done, we provide also the support for those that wants to be there, be it them to be addicted or psychological problems, but try to provide the support that they need.
That's the idea, and
That's it.
hopefully,
That's
the $5 million the mayor gave from his budget a few months ago, they haven't spent it all. We can still use some of that. But before we vote, and Mr. Manager, you again have to decide who's going to be signing this weekly reports for us under oath. We need to open it up to see if anybody from the public would like to speak.
Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak on this item? Please.
Luis Betty Garza, homeless at Peacock Park, not hapless. I would ask, as one has already committed, that all of you come to Peacock Park and speak to some of us. I am well aware of those who are addicted, but I have gone through this for 4 years, and this has been what I have classified as Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 type of homelessness. And I am in the Tier 1, and I want to bring people from Tier 2 up to Tier 1. I have many suggestions. As a homeless, articulate individual, elderly, etc., yada, yada, that we should be able to speak, not have the officers who come in at 5:30 in the morning, shining flashlights, etc. We can make a huge difference. And I'm letting all of you know for the next 2 months that we are here for a purpose, because it's going to go downhill. Everything that's happening right now, all of you are feeling it across the nation. Something is off. And it's about to change big time. And the homeless, who we qualify under Matthew 5:5, which is, the meek shall inherit the earth. And we cannot be more in the gutter than we are right now. So, notwithstanding that, I invite all of you, any of you, to come. And to top it off, if you really want to know what's going on in the world without the 100% propaganda, x22report.com. Do yourselves a favor, wake up. But the homeless are here, and we are the new CIA. We are the new compassion in action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, can we offer you any assistance to a shelter, any educational help?
You were our
need?
city manager in Doral, and I
right.
was in Doral. And everything that I did in Doral was along these lines. I got the Jamie Locone as a police officer liaison for homelessness, etc. But because I would not wear a mask for an interview with a psychologist, I was kicked off the list. I am not a person to wear a mask, as has been made evident that it was an absolutely asinine venture we went through.
Well,
but that being the case, they have offered, I have a mission to not just offer people housing and enclose them in 4 walls. There's an entirely new mindset that you get when you are homeless. If you're on the Tier 1. Tier 4, you have all the millions of dollars to deal with that. But Tier 1 are people that can come here and make a difference and listen to you and get living history classes to understand exactly what's going on. And the only person so far, Mr. Russell, has offered to come out. He sent out his assistant, not a problem. But we have major problems with certain police officers who are battling against that, because I have film, and I'm going to air dirty laundry about how the parks are being used for nefarious purposes.
Thank you.
But again, you haven't answered my direct question.
No,
Can
if
we
you
help
offer
in
housing,
any way, would you like to leave the streets and be able to get back into not being a homeless?
oh yes, I can do that. But right now, my mission, my calling, is to help others.
Okay,
It is
so-
in the service of others that you
Okay, so
help the
What
community.
you're telling me is that the only way that you think you could help others is by being homeless.
I don't consider it really homeless. I consider it part of my journey to be in the thick of things. You consider it completely homeless, and I will eventually move on to a 4 walls. But right now, I am on a journey to try to figure out what you're not understanding as to what's happening there.
Okay, well, we're in a journey to try to help everyone.
Yes.
So I'm sure
We'll work on it,
we'll
yeah.
cross the roads in that journey.
Month by month. You've had a lot of other issues that have taken months,
thank you.
and we're just one of them.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here for public comment? Come on.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Chairwoman, thank you. James Torres with the DNA. And
I was the gentleman that went with Commissioner Carollo the other evening, and we counted 81 homeless just at MAF Park. It's a huge problem. We actually stopped and asked questions if they wanted to leave and wanted help, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They didn't. The couple of New Jersey that we're speaking of, it's kind of interesting because I sent the information to David's office. The lawsuit that's pending in New Jersey because of the homeless situation that they're in. Where I feel there is a problem is there's a disconnect between departments and certain areas in our city that needs to be addressed. Many times over, the DNA has asked for a meeting to try to connect the dots. And David, you're aware of that, and I know we're gonna have one coming up on Friday as it relates to Marie Ferrer Park and the Park West area of downtown. They have actually offered to pay the city and/or the trust for implementation of some changes. And that's the thing that we're kind of looking at it. So I kindly ask that we start connecting the dot. It doesn't matter who wants to take credit for this issue. It's not going away. But with your help, we can start making a difference in a positive way. If it's the DDA, I know your area is there, and I know what's gonna happen. It gets pushed from one area, goes to the other, and we need to start connecting these dots for all the districts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, the public comment is closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And at this point, the commission meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Commissioner Russell? We have the
And Commissioners, we do have two CRA
two
meetings
CRA meetings.
scheduled for 12 p.m. or thereafter.
5 minutes? Okay, we'll be back in 5 minutes.
There we go. I don't need that. I gotta. You won't let go of that gavel, will you? Todd, are we ready? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm calling to order the June 23rd, 2022 Emergency Omni CRA meeting. Mr. Executive Director, will you explain what we're doing today?
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. We're here today to provide an amendment for a project in Omni CRA, and it is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Omni Redevelopment District Community Redevelopment Agency, CRA, authorizing the Executive Director to execute a second amendment to the agreement for the development of property with Wynwood Works LLC, dated November 24th, 2020, agreement to provide for an extension of the financing commitment and closing dates in a form acceptable to the General Counsel, further authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate and execute any and all necessary documents, all in accordance with the terms and conditions of the agreement. Now, we have provided...
Mr. Gonzalez, we have an amendment that we're proffering. Can you explain the amendment?
Yes. We have an amendment. The amendment is going to be amended now.
Most amendments are amended, right?
Okay. This is an amendment to the amendment. Okay. Play on words. Instead of the 20 days that we have detailed in the written amendment, second amendment, we're going to provide for 90 days, which will take extend the financing to the developer from July 8th, which was the deadline, to October 26th, 90 days. And we will provide for the amendment.
And Mr. Chair, just a technical point, George Weissong, Assistant City Attorney. It's technically not an amendment because...
We haven't proffered anything, so it's not
exactly.
an amendment.
So we'll make it... Yes.
You'll make it we call it an on-site resolution. How about that?
Absolutely.
Okay? On-site resolution. So we'll do that. The reason we're doing it is we want to give the developer an opportunity to get his financing in order. This is something I think is a good project. He's having some difficulty. He has an increased construction costs and things of that nature. And we understand all that. We know what the market's doing. So we want to give him an opportunity to build this project. We also don't want to give too much time, Nick, because we want to make sure that we don't tie up the CRA money so it can go to another project. So we're going to give you the opportunity to get there. We'll give you 90 days, okay?
90 days?
90 days, sir, to give them the opportunity to get there. The public comment is now open. We're opening public comment for this item. See no public comment. Public comment is now closed. Is there any further discussion among the members? See none?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, there's a motion by, somebody needs to make them, Commissioner Reyes makes a motion, seconded by Commissioner King. All those opposed say aye. Support, aye. Opposed, nay? Aye. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Omni CRA meeting is now closed.
Thank you, Board, Commissioners, Chairman.
Chair, we just need 2 minutes just to flip the tape.
Okay.
Takes you 2 minutes to change the tape. You're losing your touch.
Switch over to the...
Chair, we're good to go.
Ready to go. Okay, we are now going to enter into the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency meeting today, June 23, 2022. Mr. Executive Director, please briefly read the agenda items.
Madam Chair, before we read the items, I want to announce that me and Mr. Brown are providing lunch, ribs.
Hallelujah!
Ribs and a few other snacks, and
hallelujah!
And
Lord,
and so to be clear to the public, no CRA funds were expended on the lunch. Mr. Brown?
So you're competing against my sushi today?
Yeah.
No,
I want some ribs.
I'm going to have lunch, man, real lunch, ribs. And none of you have tried his ribs. It's fantastic.
Gentlemen, proceed.
The ribs are fantastic. Yes, ma'am. The first resolution is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Development Agency for the issuance of a grant to iUrban TV in the amount not to exceed $63,000 associated with costs to underwrite the production of a media community and an internship. Item 2 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Development Agency authorizing a grant to Girl Power Rock, an amount not to exceed $55,520.66 to underwrite the costs associated with a summer STEAM and workforce on-the-job training program. Item number 3, there's a scrivener's error in the title, is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency authorizing a grant in an amount not to exceed $225,000 to Miami-Dade College to underwrite the costs associated.
$250,000.
There's a scrivener's error. There's a scrivener's error, sir, and it's $225,000.
Okay, I like that better.
Yes, sir. Associated with the underwriting the costs associated with the operation of the Hospitality and Culinary Institute for the first year with 3 one-year options to renew not to exceed a period of 4 years. Item number 4 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Development Agency with a memorandum of understanding between Block 55 Residential Partnership LP for the sale and transfer of unused development rights. And item number 5 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Development Agency authorizing a grant to community work training program in an amount not to exceed $200,000 to underwrite the costs associated with operation and management of the Overtown Employment Assistance Center. Those are your items.
Move it.
I'll second it.
I need to open up the public comment period for any of the items that have just been presented. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak on any of the items that were just presented? Seeing no one for public comment, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Let me just ask a couple of brief questions.
Okay.
For Miami-Dade,
Mm-hmm.
on the extensions, are we obligating ourselves to those extensions, or?
No.
Okay.
One shot
All right,
deal.
that's fine. And on 4.
Correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Block 55, residential partners, who is that and where is that at?
Block 55,
It's located on 6th Street.
it's right across the
It's-
street from
it's
the
on-
new
it's on-
Publix.
it's 2nd Avenue to 3rd Avenue, 6th to 7th Street. They're at
2nd Avenue and,
Northwest 2nd to Northwest 3rd, 6th Street to 7th Street. There's the construction going on now, and we're proud to say that there'll be a Target, Burlington Coke Factory.
all right, that's the one that we previously approved, I think it was a total of $7.5 million.
Yes.
Non-CRA funds for it, right?
It's an entirely senior affordable
Right,
housing
right. I
development.
understand that. Okay, that's fine.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
And for the record, item number 3 was amended.
Meeting is adjourned.
Yes, sir.